Sup, everybody? This is Garrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast, number 583, I think. I think I put 82 originally.
82?
I think 82, no. 83, 84, 85, 490 to 612. Between those numbers. That's why we should definitely be in charge of the next moon mission, I think. Our numbers are so right on.
Numbers don't matter that much for that.
They don't. I think you should do the next moon mission using yards to really test the resilience of everybody involved. Use yards, centimeters, meters, mix them all together and use them. I think that would be
yards is a crazy.
Yards
unit.
is crazy.
It's kind of like gallons.
Do you know what it works really well for though? Is like an average person's size. If you like, let's say you're a hunter. A normal gate would be 1 yard. So when you walk one step, it's about 3
mentally
feet. Yeah,
see it kind of.
In fact, it's weirdly enough, that's one of the main places I use it. So when you say a certain number of yards, you can tell this person to go. And weirdly enough, usually with that, even if somebody's shorter, they just know that it's like maybe an extra 5 or what. It's a little easy math, but obviously it's not. It's not.
Is it like the feet thing? Is that supposed to be an actual feet size?
A yard is 3 feet.
Or no? Okay.
So.
But a foot is like, is that meant to be?
Oh, is a foot supposed to be a foot? No, I don't think. No? I don't think the average foot in America is 12 inches.
Okay.
I don't know what the normal size is. And especially now when you get these big old clubbers, these kids with these hobdogger feet running around in high school now. I mean, because a lot of those kids in high school, you go to high school and you're like, dude, seriously, this is some Jack and the Beanstalk shit right now. Like, I don't know what's going on with these guys.
Feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where you can hear them flopping when they walk. It's like they're wearing fucking flippers that they're going swimming in the pool as they walk around. Anyway, yep, there we go. It's already going to be a good one. Anyway, welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. What do we got here in the chat? Mainline and Starfield, once again, for the 5th time. Loving the new update. Cannot put down Crimson Desert. Finished Cairn. And on to Dispatch this week. That's a good one. Yeah. Mainline in Pokopia right now. Pokopia?
Mm-hmm.
Pokopia. Okay. Salute the community. And, of course, ACG, Johnny and Silver. Been keeping me entertained with these streams for the longest time with your gaming discussions. Thank you, ACG, for the channel. You bet. Thanks for showing up, man. Also, thanks to, Jason gave us a super chat on Telegram. Thank you very much, Jason. You rock. Let's see. Let's see. JR says, this must be Cairn. It's the first game I've played that accurately simulates the problem solving of real climbing. That's cool. Huh. That's awesome. I do like some of these sim games that are like that, where the problem solving elements in there. It's very cool. Kel says, slamming through Mercenaries 5, Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries again, since there's a new DLC. Is that the game? Is that the company also that announced that they're like having a bunch of, I guess, financial issues again? Or is that Piranha? Dude, I feel like I could say that and we'd have 15 examples of companies having issues, man. Like Luna.
We did talk about those guys recently for something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it was that. Luna, I was telling Johnny, there was some news this morning. Luna doesn't, which is Amazon's streaming service, which actually is not bad at all. They're curbing back a ton of stuff, like a shit ton. They're removing third-party stores. So like one of the nice things about Xbox or whatever or even Amazon, when you go on a TV, if you want subscriptions to other places or have subscriptions, you sort of use it as a filter. So you're not really switching as often. And with Luna, they had third-party stores and all that stuff. And they're dropping everything, man. They're dropping, I'm assuming it's going away because I don't even know what's going to be left of this thing with all these switches. And they're dropping away the ability to buy games from third-party manufacturers. So I guess you'll buy, Amazon games there. I don't know what even games Amazon makes right now. And they're going to remove third-party stores and a couple other things. I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's a definite dude. And that's
pretty much killing it.
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Like, because
It is,
most
yeah.
places, you think they would want you there, they'd want all that there so that you didn't go elsewhere and you would just get it there. And now, yeah, it looks like that's their future, which I don't know, man. It feels like every day we wake up, there's something huge outside of gaming. I have a family member who contacted me, and they're like, yeah, our entire company shut down, and they were like 4,000 people.
Wow, man.
Yeah, they had like 5 business offices, an office in another nation. So technically you could call them international because of that, but they were really there to fulfill, I think, more along the lines of some legal requirements for what they were doing. But yeah, man, it's insane. Everything is just shutting down. And dude, at some point, I just found out recently, Johnny, I don't know, you guys don't have Walmart there, right? What do you have there? You have,
no.
What's the one that Sleeve's wife worked at? It's like your version of Walmart. Oh, somebody's going to say it in chat, but ours is not 24/7 anymore. And when I was growing up, the biggest deal about Walmart was your 3 a.m. trip to get some gummy bears that were stale. They were old. They were in the bottom of the bin because nobody was replacing them at night. And you go there, you'd be hungry at 3. You'd get done watching a movie. You'd go to dinner.
Some ramen.
Yeah, but you'd get some questionable ramen that was called like Hamen. You know, it had like RH, but they tried to pretend it was real ramen. So it was 40 cents instead of 55.
Expired.
Utterly expired. Yeah. Where the packet, which by the way, a couple days ago in chat, I ate one of these, but where the packet of salt stuff is a brick, it doesn't come out as a powder anymore, but it comes out as like
I was there.
A candy bar.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely, man. And of course, you know, you're not going to die from it. Maybe, but I ate it. But
you could choose to not put in the packet, the salty packet. You know, you could back away from that project.
I don't know what I would put on there. I guess some soy sauce is so salty to me. I mean, more so than even I don't know what I would have. I don't think I have anything to put on. Otherwise,
you know, we have those like beef stock cubes that you can kind of toss for flavor. They're not too bad, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I don't think we have any in the house, but yeah, you could do that. But no, I said screw it. I ate it. And I never, ever look at what I'm grabbing, dude. I always trust myself. I know what flavors I would have bought. So I just grab 3 or 2 packets and I put them together. Sometimes it's shrimp and chicken, which is a little gross because I don't like shrimp anyway. Sometimes it's like, you know, some kind of special beef and chicken. It's like, hey, you just got to, you know, sometimes you got to risk it. That's my big risk. For me, that is a big risk now that I think about it. Enjoying Silk Song, says Zaret88. Spanky Steve, eggs and top ramen. Yeah, very good. I don't do that anymore, but I've had eggs and top ramen. It's actually very good. Spam and top ramen too. Just Enough says mainline and marathon. Dude, did I see something that said, you know what? We're not going to go there. Screw player numbers anyway. Don't know why I almost went there. So tired of that shit. We have, let's see, some thanks to give. Had some really good conversations. Probably 5 days of the biggest streams we've had in the Discord. We've a bunch of new patrons. Some from the channel, some from Nebulous. I didn't find out where they came from. I don't know. Maybe they're just, you know, maybe they're just space aliens. Maybe they spawned. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had a great time. Got to meet a bunch of new people with all kinds of like really cool stories, man. It was actually a blast just sitting back and having people. I mean, once again, some chefs, some cooks. We had a guy who retiree who came in who found us via the guy who does the sniper shooting lessons for Battlefield on YouTube Shorts.
Oh,
and knows that guy. That was cool. And yeah, we just had a bunch of people coming in. That was a blast. Been seeing people streaming everything. And it quickly went away from, there's still people streaming Crimson Desert, but what did I see last night? Invincible. So the demo dropped.
Yeah, Versus,
right? Invincible Versus. Rough looking game. Fuck. Man, that was rough. That was even... I stopped watching it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pass this up. We'll check it on its full release. One or two streaming Samson, they got it anyway. Doesn't seem too happy about the fact that they bought it. And I was like, tried to warn you, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And it was an awesome week. I was talking to Johnny about this early. What was your week filled with? Like, what was the majority of your week? Was it work?
So
fun?
I didn't get to jump in.
Okay.
It was a lot of work. I didn't get to jump in this week because I was just kind of blasted by work. I also didn't stream that much. But one really cool thing. So I finished the thing I was doing at work. So that feels really good. And now I'm going to be able to
That's awesome.
Jump back into gaming a bit more, jump in with you guys. But one highlight of my week has been I did get one of the Vader 5 controllers.
Fuck yeah.
And man, this thing is nice to play because I've been playing Crimson Desert and now I have a dedicated heal button here, dedicated jump button.
Yep.
I got these here that I can do like whatever the heck I want. And then I got the back pedals for the stuff I use for like pushing in instead of pushing in the joysticks. I got those buttons.
Power twins unite, baby.
Oh, dude. Let's go. And the buttons feel great, man. Yep. With the adjustable tension here you were talking about. Yeah, you really got to feel it. It's hard to explain, but it does make a big difference.
And at that price point, Johnny, what the fuck is going on with everybody else,
it's
right?
It's like half the price of an Elite.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, awesome. It's a game changer. And I had the 4, I talked it up, but I was a lot more tentative on that, where there was a lot more issues that you had to warn people about. You had to be like, hey, there's this and this. I had some disconnection issues that I wasn't able to quite figure out, but I liked where they started with that. And I wasn't unhappy about buying it. But this is the first controller I can say, in all honesty, not only have I not been unhappy buying it, I've actually found that almost every other day there's some new thing that I like. There's some new, whether it be the curves or whether it be the button. It's not really macros, but the setups. It's Alps. It's the Vader 5.
Yeah.
I also like that it works on the Switch. I won't use it for that, but it works on the PC easy enough. And it is Chinese, so getting that the app, you have to get the right app because there's 2 versions. There's the old app for the Vader 4 and prior.
I do think the app is a lot better than the Xbox One, to be honest, because the Xbox One, you actually need to plug it in with the cable to be able to make any changes. And this one, you can do it on the fly. Yeah. So if you're playing a new game, you jump in there, create a new profile, tune it up to whatever you want it to be. And a lot easier for you to also configure the buttons to be whatever key you need. It could also be a macro, all this type of stuff. It's just actually way more usable.
And the profile switching is awesome because if you do play a game where it switches, to some alternative style of control and you don't like the way your Gennaros are, instead of going into the options
or jumping between games,
Yep. Yeah, man, it's fantastic controller for that price. Like, it's unbelievable for that price because basically it's better than the Elite, at least to me, in all ways, with better buttons, more buttons, with technically about the same buttons. It by far works farther away than my Elite did. So I don't know what that's about. And I've thrown it 3 times and it hasn't broke. So Crimson Desert made me throw it
Good
twice.
Good feeling buttons.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
Yeah. And dude, I'm telling you, the dialable tension on the sticks, straight up.
Oh, yeah.
Once somebody uses that, man, I've given that to people here and they're all, oh my God, now. They're like, it didn't even make sense to some when you say it. They're like, I don't know. I mean, why would I need it? And I'm like,
you wouldn't think so, but even for the camera, it's nice for you to just tune like how sensitive you want it.
Baseball games or golf games, when you have to flick up and down, if you crank that up, you're up, down. It feels better. It's just like, dude, this is the way it should be. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad. Okay, so you got that. So you didn't really play games. You got that.
I dabbled a bit in Crimson Desert, played some League. But yeah, honestly, just kind of a light week for me with gaming. Gonna jump back into it next one.
I think it's a light week. Not necessarily for everybody, but at least in our group, it seemed like people were coming off of Crimson Dawn if they were doing that, and they were sort of eyeing the next thing, like, what am I, what is this?
Yeah.
What am I trying to get? And then, unfortunately, Samson, it just,
didn't land.
Dude, I was telling you prior, some games look janky and they show up and they're great. And some games look janky and they show up and they're janky. And I just was really nervous about this when I started playing for review, because the first time I fought somebody, I was like, oh no, because that's their focus. They're the ones who focused on that, right? They were like, this is what the game's about. And it's unfortunate because there's actually, dude, the world, the payback style world and shit, that's pretty sweet. And the voice acting, music, phenomenal, man. Driving around feels pretty good. I would say maybe not as good as like, Mad Max.
Maybe like a Mafia game.
But
style.
Better than Mafia.
Okay.
Driving wise. Yeah. But dude, man, it sucks because it feels like there's not even a lot going on. And so it's even more questionable about why you don't see more of it why there's not more finesse put in it, because there's not necessarily a shit ton of stuff going on. So it's like, why is combat so rough when really it's just, basically a dodge, a parry, and then juke, and then a couple punches, and everything feels delayed. Every single thing feels delayed. You try to pull off a finisher, and you're just hammering the stick down, which, by the way, worst button ever to do a finisher. Fucking hate it. But it doesn't feel right. And then you get in the car and you get a cool quest and you talk to your sister and you're like, oh man, I'm sort of interested in this. And then you go out and it's all over again, and you're just like, and dude, the AI just didn't turn on. It just didn't turn on. I mean, it was cyberpunk level. There were times where you'd walk up to a group and you'd be just thunder somebody to death right in front of them. And then you'd run around them. You'd come up behind them. And you'd be like, dude, seriously? Short rib. And you'd be like, what's happening? I mean, this guy just doesn't react. It happened a lot, man. And it sucks because if that game had another month, maybe, it could have been, what was even weirder is like, it was short. We only heard about it late last year. It was cheaper and it didn't hit either one. It didn't
sucks.
Yeah.
I like what they did with the price. They had this statement like, hey, we're trying to like over deliver at a lower price rather than under deliver at a higher one. I like that. But
dude, if that had been
you got to
60,
deliver first.
I don't even know if I believe what they said, because I don't see another price for this game. Meaning there's no price at 30. You're like, what the fuck? At 50 or 60, you're just throwing your hands up and you're like, okay, so that's robbery. So at 10,
right.
At $9.99, I could actually see this, and it might have behooved them better to do a $9.99 and say, this is our introduction game. Other games will be more expensive. This will be our introduction game.
Damn.
To the world, because the world's actually pretty interesting. I mean, it's not a ton, but there's like this drug coming onto the streets. There's some investigations you do. There's, a lot of characters you talk to that are actually pretty interesting. A lot of little side missions you do. So there's just a lot about it that I liked. But Samsung PR reminded me of Mind's Eye. Really? Mind's Eye, I feel like they put out like 6,000 things for it, but maybe that's just me I feel like that one had a lot. What's up, Asa? But ultimately, it's about 100 times better than Mind's Eye. So if you take Mind's Eye, and here's Mind's Eye, and here's Samson. Mind's Eye is in another nation under the ground, and then there's Samsung. It really is at least a completed title that you can play and enjoy some stuff.
Not in the same bucket.
No. Yeah, not even. Yeah. I mean, technically, Mind's Eye is not even in a fucking bucket.
it's not in the bucket. It's like
nobody
under
cared
the
to collect it. It's still laying there, and people looked at it and they're like, should we put that in a bucket? And people are like, nah, fuck it. No reason. Fuck it. No bucket. Fuck it. No bucket. Let's see. Samson, just a bit better. Mind's Eye. No, man, people need to play. No, I was going to say,
no, because you played Mind's Eye like
don't do it.
when it came out, man. That was rough.
It wasn't even, at least this one is like 1, 2, 3, and you sort of go and do your thing. Mind's Eye is like 1, 4, 9, Q, B, 2 plus 8. It almost feels like, you could almost say Mind's Eye at times feels like what people worry that an AI-based game will be. I don't think it would be. I think AI would make a better game, and that's the legitimate truth. I think you could put together a better game than Mind's Eye with ChatGPT 5, maybe. No,
just vibe code your way to a better game.
my ChatGPT comedy reviews for games with ChatGPT had better writing than Mind's Eye by a large amount, which goes to show you what's wrong.
Oh, man.
And that's not the diss on the writers. We have no clue how that all came together, right? So, no diss on the writers if you're out there going like, man, I'm not ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're out there going, I use ChatGPT. Whichever. Anyway, moving on from there. So that's Luna and Samson out of the way. $20 for that. They're doing some patches. Really like what they got. As Johnny said, I really like what they're talking about with like the price and the idea of like going in there and sort of, identifying
something
a smaller
lean
scope.
And,
Yeah. It'd be best if we saw that from some devs. Speaking of much larger scopes, though, Starfield, man, got its expansions, got its PlayStation version. I mean, it's there. We're finally.
It's actually getting talked about a lot. And, it's getting a lot of traction. Whereas I kind of thought, because usually DLCs don't get talked about a lot in the just kind of around YouTube and stuff. But it's been a bit of a resurgence for them. Also, the PS5 version probably helps a lot.
Yeah, we saw some people yesterday, day before, one of the two, and they were playing it. Holy shit, I love this. And maybe that'll go away. They were 12 hours in, but there's bad games. There's games that hit weird. There's games that are bland. I think I think Starfield hits weird, or it did day one for a lot of people, which I get. It hit weird for me, though I liked a lot of parts of it. But with the added DLC, that added DLC isn't there for people who didn't want to play a space game that was like that. It's not fixing that. It is definitely for
it's
people.
Not changing that.
Yeah, it's not changing
but
that.
I could see it
just putting
for
some
people
shit together.
People like myself who dropped the campaign at some point, maybe 80%. You didn't kind of take it all the way.
Yeah.
Picking it back up again with some of these additions, I think could be pretty good.
Yeah, because combat's good. No Man's Sky, they just dropped that weird ass Pokemon mini game, and I'm sitting there going like, we're now down to Pokemon mini games, and we still haven't fixed the combat. Like, what's happening? Like, obviously,
we've added so much stuff into the game, and the combat is still like
dog
day
shit.
One.
Dog shit. It's not even combat. It's just bad shit. Insane. It's terrible. And so
the best change is actually being able to turn it off, because now you have the customizable difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know about you. I guess with space games, I do expect some conflict. And when I don't get it, then, the game nails greatly, the exploration. But after a while, it's more digging. And you're like, well, iron is iron on any planet, right? Carbon is carbon on any planet. So the surprise starts to go away. Where if there's combat encounters, you're trying to there's a risk and reward. And weirdly enough, in No Man's Sky, for the most part, if you're smart on planning, you can go anywhere, and there's no real risk. I mean, there's some, but it's not in the same bailiwick. It's this weird thing. But I mean, Starfield, I saw a bunch of people playing it. They've added some stuff. They've added flying through, the mini solar system flight, I guess, where you can sort of get your Star Trek on if you want to fly around, jump off, do some spaceship shit in your spaceship. I was already doing
the
that.
Lanes, right? That's the main new content thing. Actually, I think there are two things, right? There's the free content,
free lanes,
which I think is the lanes. Yeah, free lanes, and then there's a paid DLC.
There's I mean, I have it because I have the premium, so I don't know if it's paid. I think it is $10. Yeah, and then there's the DLC. So this will be like their second or third DLC. So, and I'm sure
cool
breaking mod saves. So I ended up playing on the Xbox for the hell of it because I didn't want to mess with my PC mods, and I'm nervous. I don't even know what to do because half of my fixes are for shit on the ship when you're flying. All the stuff that they are like
inventory maybe
is all
stuff like
breakable shit. I have a feeling every mod I put in is a mod that this update breaks.
Instantly stopped working.
Yeah. It has been nice. So there's sort of this, Starfield modding completely dead, which absolutely isn't true. I should know because I continually have different new mods. But I did see 2 or 3 guys who weren't doing mods for a while. They jumped to, I think, Stalker 2, and they're back. They're like, oh, now I have a way to build the mod I wanted because they added the flight thing in. So now I'm back to Starfield modding. So there's more people jumping in there too, which is always a bonus. But yeah, on PlayStation, people get to play it too. And as always, Microsoft games are going to sell well for a little while in the PlayStation Store. People are, arguing about that. I don't see why any of this is. I'll joke about it and I'll tease people who are console warriors, but I just consider it pretty cool because another group of people, maybe waited, got some patches, and get to play a game and decide some NASA punk sounds like a good idea. It's a positive. What's up, KK Blaze? What else did they add to that? They added a new system for putting legendaries on guns. Dude, you can outfit your guns to. Did you see that shit? It's like we decided.
Yeah, you can roll up to 4 legendary traits.
Legendary.
Crazy.
Did you ever have? I never had a hard time. I mean, I definitely died, but I didn't find the game's combat to be like, except for specific things. I didn't feel like, oh man, I'm right at the raggedy edge all the time. Adding 4 legendaries, that's going to be interesting to see because, like, am I just going to be destroying people, or have they upped that too? So, yeah, and they added new resources. So that'll be cool. You have a PC version. I'm assuming your version's the PC version. Yeah. I know those mods are just waiting to be broken.
Yeah, the mods are going to be rough. I did see a lot of streamers covering it, which is cool. I'm sure, some are sponsored, which is fine. But I saw a lot of streamers without the sponsored thing covering it. So there seems to be quite a bit of interest in general.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I guess it makes sense. Bethesda would do, like, because it's DLC, do a sponsored. It's because it's on a new system, of course. Yeah, now that I think about it. I mean, yeah. I wonder how you handle something sponsored like that. What do you do? Just be like. Because a person has probably passed it up until then, so the sponsor would feel even weirder to me. Be like, okay, now pretend you're interested now, or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like what that would be like. But
pretend.
Yeah, most of the people I know are playing it without sponsors.
I think you have to state that it is sponsored. Like you have to say it's like
you do.
Hash right. You can't just pretend you're doing it out of your own.
Yeah, and sponsorships are weird too because you can do it out of your own. There are ways to get around that, and probably vital ways to get around it where you're not really sponsored, but you're still getting
some loophole
something
there.
Well, there's a ton. Yeah, I mean, it's like
because you could say I want to play it anyway, so maybe you could just do that.
Well, yeah. When I see, look at like Vader or whatever. I already have it, right? I tell people about it. If you get a certain number of sales, not for Vader, but if you get a certain number of sales for something else, they might have your affiliate code be a higher link price, and that's not sponsored. And you could talk the entire time. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of ways to do it. And I work on mock reviews a lot. So that'll be a game that I'm never going to review in the future, but that they want to know, like, if you were reviewing it today, what would you give it? Now I can't post those,
okay, yeah,
because they're sort of alpha states, but they pay for those. So like you can make money because you're technically a tester at that point. You fall under the tester category, but you know, you can get away with some of the weird shit. I think with Starfield, having some sponsors is really smart because technically, yeah, it's coming on PlayStation, but it is also coming up against Crimson Desert. You do want it to get some some shine to it.
Yeah.
So, Asa says you're thinking with the perspective of someone with some integrity. Hey, now, come on. That's absolutely true. Just joking. Debate. Nate says, hey, ACG, did you see the cryptic Dragon's Dogma DLC announcement? Yes, I did. Yeah. What was it? Last week, I think did I tell you about that? Where it's like there was a picture and there was like a shadow of a person that's not in the main game. Yeah, there's some back and forth about what's going on with Dragon's Dogma, and it certainly looks like there's some kind of some kind of thing going on there on the Dragon's Dogma 2 side. And I'm all for it.
Oh, okay, yeah. They seem to be teasing it.
Yeah. I'm all for it. I love the idea. Can't wait. I mean, Dragon's Dogma is very laid back. Kill some bad guys. Explore
second anniversary for Dragon's Dogma 2. Crazy how time flies. We are.
Back in the good old days when your knees didn't hurt, when you could bounce me on your knee. Back in the wheel days with little Carrick bouncing me on your knee, that all shit
you
that
would
really
fall
happened.
down and you just kind of roll. Through it. Or
a little kid, how they'll throw themselves up in the air and land on their ass and not break their spine.
Completely fine.
And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is such a masterpiece, but it needs more content. Masterpiece? Their masterwork's all.
It was fun though.
Yeah,
it was just such a fun game to play.
Yeah, it was awesome. What is everybody playing, by the way? What games? And let's see. Give me a reason why you like the game you're playing. Don't just be like graphics are good or it's fun. You actually gotta give a real reason for why you're playing the game. Like,
and you have to say if you're sponsored.
Yeah. I'm playing Leisure Suit Larry, sponsored by Trojan. Moving on from there, looking at the list. So Starfield expanding, boom, getting out there. Next up is Crimson Desert. New life, bunch of patches. Now, weirdly enough, after all this time, they've decided that they are going to put difficulty choices in there. Listen, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know what is happening. Johnny and I had a long discussion about this prior to the podcast starting, but
because it's obviously very reactive to
fans,
the feedback. You were saying it's a bit suspect. Like, did they really just kind of have these things ready to ship almost? Which is kind of suspect. What is going on there? Yeah. From my perspective, I was kind of just naively happy, just like, I want more stamina in my thing. I want more, just better responsiveness, like the stuff they've been doing. I think it's been good. I like the ability to tune the difficulty as well. Like, I mean, I think the changes have been great overall, just being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. I have my own thoughts about what's going on, because now I'm like, all right,
they heard your thing, because they were like, guys, now Carrick, we need to fix it for Carrick. Give him the difficulty slider.
Yeah, they could have, but I mean, I already stated that I just didn't think I was going back. It sort of burned me out, and I got my fun out of it during the review period. And then once it got too easy, I was just like, okay, it's their game to do what they want. But there's some oddity there with timing on some stuff, and by the way, I'm not talking out of pocket. This was prior to the game coming out. There was, when one or two things were patched in, there was this, what? That's that kind of speed, that kind of patch and testing and the testing you would need to do to make sure that this, or the teleporter, spite teleporters as we call it, where it's like, oh, you want teleporters? Well, then fuck you, I'm putting them everywhere. And
so they had a flag like enable teleporters,
or it's an entity in the game engine, and you literally just go
seed that sucker.
Dude, there's like, you teleport in and there's a teleporter in one place, and you're like, did we think this
it's funny from my perspective, because I didn't see the version with the lean teleport. So for me, it's just like, oh, that's the game,
Yeah.
And it's been
I will
like,
say
okay,
this. I would still, if this was day one, look at a teleporter I could see from another teleporter and go, that's a mistake.
Okay. We've had that in some Souls games where you have weirdly like two bonfires next to each other. And then, and then like the next one will be super far away. Just like weird.
Yeah. I wonder if we've missed a shortcut in that kind of situation, and really, or we found a shortcut early. And so we see those two bonfires, because I do remember with Surge 2, the same thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how wicker work Surge 2 was? Where you I still remember the starting area when you come out of the metal sarcophagi, you go do your stuff, and then you come back around, and there's like a metal pillar that's just lean. It's like a cardboard box basically made of metal, but still pretty heavy. But your character just goes, oh, okay, and then walks right back into the main base, and you're like,
yeah, hold on a second.
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
Why, if there's a gap of air there, why didn't I just leave that way? So
yeah.
I still like that kind of stuff, as long as it's not too jigsaw where it feels fake. If something feels right, I like that.
But it does remind me of in programming, there's like the joke where when you ship your software, you plant a lot of sleep statements to make it slightly slower.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point you just go in, you remove those sleep statements, and you say, I've improved the responsiveness by 30%.
Let me tell you, YouTube, do too many videos, you're in deep shit. People will get tired of seeing them. It's why Simon Whistler does a good job. He's got different channels. So you have different audiences. You'll actually see some people who are like, I'm subscribed to 6 of his and not 12. And I like those 6 because they come every other day. There's also the idea that you can't be quality if you're fast, which I think used to be a thing, but is probably not as much of a thing as we like to pretend now. It's almost like back in the day when Made in the USA mattered. Remember? They'd be like, Made in the USA. You'd be like, cool. And then Made in the USA meant, oh my God, this is horrendous. And now Made in the USA really probably just means put together in the USA, but made in Calcutta or in China and shipped over, and somebody stamps it here. It really doesn't matter anymore. But that stuff's definitely, I know where you're coming from with the sleep statements, because I watched our own database guys. Like, we're going to do a secondary check on this. And I'd be like, the fuck, a secondary check for a thing that's always going to be a concrete answer, and it takes 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Why are we doing that? And then later they'd be like, I made this about twice as fast. And I still remember looking over at a person named Neil who worked with me. And he was like, yeah, I've made it twice as fast. And I just looked at him and I was like, man, I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly.
Yeah. Still, the charitable interpretation is that they've been really responsive to feedback and really active with patches.
For what?
For Crimson.
What about it, though? Yeah, they have been. Oh, I thought you were defending something or
no, because
something.
I was thinking, like, the cynical view could be like what I was saying with the sleep statements. Like, maybe they kind of planned on having these
sleep statements.
Really cumbersome things.
Yeah. No.
Like, let's make the gliding really suck initially, so that we can then relieve it and add more stamina to it and make people happy. I don't know if this is maybe like too tinfoil to think about. We were talking about, is it maybe some kind of 5D chess thing where they were basically ready with some of these improvements?
Well, they're definitely doing that. I mean, it's literally impossible. Dude, come on. what I told you about earlier. Well, we're not going to talk about it here, but what I told you, you don't just magically fucking turn that on. It's impossible.
So, yeah, some of that stuff kind of has to.
Yeah, so you've got it built in, but here's the cool thing: they decided to deliver the game in whatever form they wanted, which is, to me, a lot like Stalker 2, completely acceptable. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a good example of a game that didn't change. So look at Dragon's Dogma 2 versus this. Dragon's Dogma 2, the developer, the main guy who made it, the executive producer, whatever, basically just said, no, this is Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, we're going to adjust some things and bug patch, but we're not going to really adjust everything. But if you're chasing sales and you want more people engaged, which, by the way, is not wrong, adding options is great. But the problem is there's two ways to add options. Add them and don't remove your prior players, or add them and adjust or remove your prior players, which is what has happened up until like the difficulty adjustment. We did see, like, I can tell you just watching and hearing them say it in the chats and in Telegram, where they were like, I'm done. It immediately became unfun. So you're like, okay, that's a very real issue where the change was so big that if the newcomer comes in,
overdid it.
You make the sale, but you lose the player, you know? So I'm super happy for the difficulty sliders. I should point that out. Even if I don't go back, that's awesome. I really do think this one needed it day one, because every adjustment they made, you would have been able to say, oh, it's a little easy. Oh, there's something. I'm gonna just scooch that up just a tab.
Yeah.
And you get more people talking about it. So, but good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Like, certainly not a negative. Just, you know,
I think
just
also
like
because
about how this stuff happens.
It's the difficulty slider is important in this one too, because the mechanics are a bit janky. Like, the movement is not as responsive as
a bit.
You know.
Yeah.
Right? And that can be a frustration. Like, if you feel like you died not really because of your skill level, but because maybe
the game,
like the game, you know. And some stuff is like that. Some of the boss designs are a bit frustrating for sure, and I can see a lot of people just not wanting to deal with that, which I think is fair. It's good to have that option. For example, I've enjoyed the easier bosses, because I can kind of get through them in like 1 or 2 attempts. Because frankly, a lot of the boss designs I haven't enjoyed very much. I like a lot of the other stuff with the exploration, but
the boss design is definitely human-centric for the most part. Man, it's like, and what's funny is I'm fine with that, because this is that world. I think Crimson Desert's super enjoyable, but you do realize after a while how sort of spoiled we've become in games that have a serpent, a gelatinous blob, an underwater battle, a space battle, a spaceship, a fucking
like
three-legged
Wukong, where you had all this variety of
where you had all that variety. So I get where you're coming from on that. And I do think the easiness of the bosses now, well, it'll be, when they patch it up, it'll be even better. But I think that for a lot of people, they probably were the crunchy kind who got through it anyway, but then, you know, it might cause some people to come back. It just also depends. I mean, there's a lot of games too. In this entire time, there's been like 3 or 4 games that's released in the last 2 or 3 weeks too.
And a bunch more coming
around, and a bunch more coming.
Yeah.
Debate Nate says Crimson Desert is just like a Korean Skyrim game. I love it. That's a good. Okay. It is, but boy, is it not. Like, I like Skyrim a lot, but the amount of stuff going on in Crimson Desert is so far beyond Skyrim. Yeah. Not because Skyrim is bad, but Skyrim is 12 years old, or 10, 12.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, Crimson Desert has the bones of an MMO, like we talked about.
Oh, it does.
And then by design, you have all these systems, right, to keep you engaged. I mean,
we all have had you obviously could be multiple starting points in this game, because you get the same old tutorial when you get near a city, because it forgets that you're not from that city. So you'll get like the parry tutorial at the starting game. Then you go towards one of the other cities that you magically don't get to start from. And it's like, hey, do you want to learn about stamina? And you're like, what the
fuck?
Hold
on a second.
And then you think, if this was an MMO, it would need to warn players from that city. I see.
Yeah.
And then you start getting like, you almost get tutorials on the way out of the city and out of that location. And then it goes down. And then you see the other tutorials popping up from the other cities you get close to it. And you're like, oh, damn. I see how this is going. Super Meat Boy 3D. This is Wild Ones Gaming. Super Meat Boy 3D. Enjoying a blast from the past-ish platformer. Trying to find out just the right timing. Last Epoch. Playing that a lot with D2 and no pay to win as far as I have seen. Asa says Mario Tennis Fever because I'm scraping the barrel to find a competitive game I don't suck at. So, do you want to be competitive at it, or do you just want to be really good, therefore not competitive? I think I'd rather play the game I was really good at.
Because you could be competitive, but at a low skill level.
That's what he's saying.
Because you're competing with other...
Really low... Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's best to be the fastest in a really slow group of people. Like if you're all dumb, but one of you guys is like slightly less dumb, you're a genius, man. Just saying. ACG, do you play AARPGs? Yes. Not Path of Exile. Done a bunch of Diablo. What was that one? Cell-shaded one years ago. Silver. Was it Silver Hand or something? I remember playing that. Fate. Torchlight. Bunch of futuristic ones. Just depends. But
did you do really... Diablo 4? Or no?
Yeah, I did. I played some of that. Wasn't a huge fan of Path, but not because it was bad. It was just there was a lot. And I think the amount of stuff going on in those games, I usually just like one and I stick to it. And then I play the other one later. And also I believe Path might have been in early access. One or two of those were early access. And you know me, the moment I hear that, I'm like, I'll come back.
Yeah, later. I think also for those games, some of them really emphasize the post the end game stuff,
right,
where the game basically begins at end game. Path of Exile is kind of like that. You play the campaign just skipping through everything and just to get to end game. That's where it begins, where you kind of have your build and stuff. A lot of other games focus a lot more on campaign, and I know that's more for casuals, but I actually enjoyed those more personally. I think Last Epoch is a great example because it's fun in both, like the campaign and the end game. Diablo 4 is much more like about the campaign for me personally, but also had a great time with that. And I had a good time with Path of Exile as well, but I do find it's a bit more grueling to kind of stick with it for such a long time, to get to that, quote, good part.
Vapor for Blood says the main antagonist in Crimson Desert is actually the camera. Yes, it is. Duncan says, I'm finding Screamer on PS5 really innovative with the twin sticks. Innovative. Here we go. With the twin sticks and timed boosts, etc. Works great with the control speaker feedback. Quite polarizing views on the game with its anime. On the game's view. Yeah, I saw a lot of people liking it, though. So ultimately...
Screamer was the sort of anime-looking
racer.
Need for Speed.
Yeah, where you basically control with both thumbsticks. Very odd, but I've seen a lot of people liking it. Cantankerous Goat, what's up, man? I've jumped back into Disco Elysium. Not super far into it, but keep getting side-eyed by my... Oh, okay, man, I read that wrong. Keep getting side-eyed by my daughter due to the narration. Asa says, nah, I want to destroy everybody. Oh, talking about, tennis. Yeah, me too. James says, did you like Indiana Jones and the Dark Circle? I did. The Great Circle? I did. Yeah, I liked it. I did a review for it. People sleeping on
Wait, is that the DLC? Sorry, I'm confused there. Was that the DLC for Indiana?
Or I thought Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was the name of the main game proper. Yeah.
No, you're right. I think it was something about giants, the DLC.
I don't know. I think he was just talking about the main game. Yeah, I liked it, did a review. Screamer looks pretty cool. Nathan says, twin stick shooter. Nathan also says, I don't think it looks very anime, though. Or I don't think it feels very anime. Fair. Okay. Screamer is fun, and I'm hyped for Forza 6. Kirby racing game had weird controls like Screamer 2, if I recall. So let's talk about Forza 6. So I got a chance to play that. Dude, it's so weird that Forza Horizon 6 has basically, it's not only supplanted Forza Motorsport, but people want Forza Motorsport stuff in Horizon 6. So I even covered it in my preview. I was like, yeah, there are some customization options that are not in here that I'm sure people want, because I was seeing people talk about it. They want the customization from Motorsport in Horizon. And the developer, and some of it I can see, I'm like, yeah, that should probably be in there, because there's no real, it's not like a big deal. It's not like something super tech heady. In fact, it's very not. But it is weird that I feel this might be the first one, probably because of Japan, where the tech heads that come from one of my favorite games, I really like Motorsport and I really like Horizon, but I think some of the Motorsport guys are going to poison a bit of this well. It already feels like that's where we're going. That you're starting to get these people who are going to come in and be like, why doesn't it have perfect this or perfect that? And I just don't think the Horizon devs are looking for that. Now, I'm not making excuses for the stuff that's missing on customization, because there are some things there that you're like, that's weird. But, dude, they've become bigger than Motorsport. Motorsport didn't sell well. The last two, I don't think, sold well. But Horizon just keeps exploding. So I get where people are coming from, but man, I also do not want to worry about the perfect modifications like a sim racer in Horizon when you could be downtown, then in a road, curvy, then not, then dirt, then mud, then water, then snow, then ice, all just because you missed a guardrail. Like, it doesn't feel like that kind of game. And it definitely, from some of the comments, some angry comments I actually got DM'd a really angry comment from somebody. They were like, yeah, but this gear ratio thing, I can't remember what they were talking about, but it was pretty crazy. Where I was like, dude, you're talking that's like sim racing level that you're talking about. And
that doesn't even exist, like, in the scope of a Forza Horizon.
Yeah. And it definitely feels like, due to its popularity and because Motorsport, I don't know its future, Horizon might be that. But I will point out a couple things. Does it have people driving in the city? Yes, it does. Is it a ton? No, it is not. Is it about right? Yes, it is. Because if it was a ton, you'd be in a fucking traffic jam and it wouldn't be goddamn fun. So they pretty much hit it. But I saw some people who I think either leaked previews on accident or had some touch on it that I didn't, who are like, oh, it's filled. It's filled. It's filled to the brim with people driving around the cities. It absolutely is not. And I don't want anybody thinking it is by seeing those weird posts, when the actual fact part of the game is, it for sure isn't. There's some cars in the cities, pretty much the number you would expect. Drivatars, they do drive like your friends. I can't tell you how close that is, but I did drive against Lord Addict, and I can tell you, I was like, I think it's still taking a bit of his data. Maybe not all of it, but it's taking a bit of his data. Could be wrong on that.
Did it drive like a psycho or something?
Nah, there's some stuff that I've seen. It drove like I was talking to Addict during a podcast. It's very hard to describe. But and a couple of my other friends, it sort of drove like him. We'll have to see how much data they take, or maybe they just take the name and that's how we pattern on because we see a name. It did feel like him though, and I beat him in a way. In the past, I beat him in the other games when the Drivatars were more, like, this really is your friend. Dude, really smooth, locked in frame rate. It was 30, I think, on the consoles. There's a 60, but even that was playable. It was heavy. I will say that. It felt like I definitely found myself like having to pay way more attention than normal at that frame rate. But imminently drivable. Like got through it. And I don't think anybody will play it at that frame rate. They'll play it at 60, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, right. You mentioned something about the cars feeling good overall, but not like massively different between them. Or
that's only because there were 3 cars.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, so let me now listen. I could be wrong on this. It bothered me so much, but I can't tell you if it was true or not, so I have to play the real game. My Bronco that you get, dude, that sounded like somebody had taken an Impreza engine and put it in there. There were the engine as somebody who's driven Broncos, beefed out ones, and I even went into the engine and I looked around and I'm like, okay, it's definitely got a couple. It's for sure got some tunes in it, but it's got it sounded like a rally car or something versus what I expected it to sound like. We'll have to see, because I'm assuming that was tunes and that I was just, there's a lot of settings and maybe I missed it. But driving wise, how they handled different. You go in there, you change the tires and all that kind of stuff, and you can sort of pretty much feel the change in how it drives right away. The Bronco definitely drove different than the coupe the moment I did that.
Okay.
But there was definitely some oddities in some of that, where as somebody who drives those vehicles, I was like, I'm gonna have to wait till the real game, because I feel like somehow either they made it, I'm assuming they switched out so much to maybe make them all feel equal, but it also didn't require a deft hand, which was weird, because if you were to say take a Bronco at the speed that I was going, I would have expected it to be a little bit rougher to drive, especially
unplayable. Yeah.
Well, yeah, or like a lot of thought. And instead I was like, man, I'm actually nailing this. Hey, it could just be because I was playing some racing games previously and it just Forza.
Yeah.
I've always liked Forza's handling. But yeah, graphics look good. Playable game. We'll have to see if Japan's going to be like the end all be all. I mean, is it for you? Are you getting Forza?
Yeah. Yeah, it will be. Yeah,
Okay.
I am excited for the setting. I know what you were talking about, that like maybe people are kind of burnt out, or they're saying, oh, it's too late, or they've been spinning our wheels all this time with Japan. But I think it's great. I think it brings something very different with just the different scenery, the variety in that, and then like the mounts and stuff that I saw with the city that looks so different than any other, city from the West we see in those games. I think it looks very charming. Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know if I've been interested in any of the cities prior to playing the game, and almost all of them have had a good city once you play them.
Yeah, they've done a good job,
yeah.
Admittedly. Even the Mexico one wasn't my favorite, but
there were
some good stuff.
There were a couple races through cities down, and I still remember one where I think there were banners across the road, and you go just flying down that. And I remember being like, wow, they nailed that. And then there was another, I'm trying to think of where. That's the thing that happens with Forza Horizon for me. I find a stretch of road I like, and I'm just like flashing those fucking lights at anybody on that section of road, because I just like that set. It just, whether it be scenic or it fits, whatever, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is my section of road. Like, where almost everybody, where I'm a boss on that section of road in a weird way. That's like, nope, this is mine. Anybody comes through here, I gotta teach you. I love that feeling. And there was a lot, it was a pretty busy map once you started really looking at it, but I think its general look is way better than the last one. The last one had that Snoopy lunchbox sticker look, and it was fine, but it was really messy. This one looks a little less messy. I think also, though, Johnny, I wish they'd contrast the color of the icons a bit differently, because you get this colorful world, and then you get colorful icons. And yeah, there's two different purples. There's dark and light. But if you have purples and blues and greens and yellows and oranges on your map, and then you have purples and blues and greens and yellows and oranges on your icons, it becomes a little bit difficult to parse, where you're like, or even forget where you were. You're like, oh, I remember this one place I like to go, but there's 19 icons, in this.
Too many icons.
Yeah, or something like that. Of course, you can minimize those, but I feel like their map would do with some fake 3D or something. Like, because right now it looks like a painting in a way, or an art drawing for a game, a D&D game, I mean, or something like almost like a map from a game that somebody would do armies on or something. And I almost think a 3D map, something to pop it up. But then you have 3D moving around your map, which sucks balls too. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. Seems I think everybody's gonna. I mean, dude, there was nothing bad about the demo. There was no like idiosyncrasies. There wasn't even a single issue with that demo, I don't think, when it came to loading or racing or shader. Well, shade not on the console. There was. Let's see what else. You did your start. You did your festival. Yeah. It just worked.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys make good games. I think pretty much every time it's a solid game.
I think so too. Yeah, they
last few times.
Yep. I don't think there's been a bad Forza Horizon ever.
No, right? I think. Well, I've only played since
ridiculous.
3, maybe.
But I mean, go back and look at 1 and 2. They've all been really good.
Yeah,
it's like talk about a
and
company.
They have a way to speak to both casuals and people who also like a bit, because you're more of like a sim level, like you play all these games that are like rally games and stuff, right? But then you also have a good time with these, and I'm like super casual and I have a good time with it too. Reg, our friend, he's also kind of casual, so it kind of speaks to a broad range of people. And it has tools to teach you how to play as well.
That's what I was
like the rewind is great, because for someone like me, it's very frustrating when you don't understand what you did wrong. Because you might go into a turn and just be like, okay, I messed it up, right? And you know exactly what you did wrong because your positioning was bad, or because you know what you were supposed to do. But for someone like me, I may not know how I'm supposed to take that turn. And the ability to like redo it on the spot closes the learning loop much tighter, because now I don't need to like replay the whole race to get to that point only just to try it again. You're cutting down that, learning progress.
Yeah, I
just
love the
speeding it up
idea of that too, for the fast learning. Because how many times have you like died quickly to a boss in a Dark Souls, and by the time you get back there, you're like,
already forgot,
and they pull off a different move at the start, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah, it's like, oh, if only I could have, dodged like this, or for sure.
I think the upgrading in these games is also pretty easy, where it's just a big red or green up or down for horsepower, and then your class. So you can maximize for your class and be like, I don't want to go to A, because then I have to do a whole other. I'm just going to be like B plus, and then you're switching one thing out because it puts you 1 point over. That's pretty easy for anybody, even a person who doesn't race a lot, to understand. And you're able to jump in there. You can paint on the windows, if that matters. That's a new addition. I guess I see why people are sort of mad about that being in there.
Is that legal, by the way? Doesn't that obstruct your view?
No, here you could. Yeah, here, at least where I am, you'd be in deep shit if you were painting on the windows. You can't even tint to a certain extent here. I can't. I think it's. I could be wrong on the percent, but I think it's like 30%. If you go higher and somebody can't see in your car, they'll pop you.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it is, but I think you can't tint all of the windows. You might be able to do the ones in the back, or like there's some.
Yeah, there's always rules against that stuff for police officers or for whatever, and it's different state by state. Every single state has their own, like, we'll just allow it. Put a Snoopy on there.
But you can't do like in the movies where the whole thing is black.
So the black thing is one thing. What I'm always shocked at is some of the old 1980 movies I watch, like Condor Man, which is a B movie, a B superhero movie. There's a bad guy in a Porsche with mirrored windows all the way around.
Oh, wow.
100% mirrored. And I'm like, can you imagine what that would be like driving down the road and that mirror pops up and it just happens to hit you with the entire windshield version of a reflection? Holy Christ. You just go right off the edge.
Yep.
It'd be awesome. Oh, man. Let's see. Only complaint I've heard about is the whole festival vibe gets old. What's your favorite Dynasty Warriors games? Man, I haven't played Dynasty Warriors in a while. What was the one that...
in years,
I think Silver was playing one here originally. Probably just the last
recent one.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently that one is very good.
Yeah. Let's see. Not Robert Lombardo says, "Do you play on a wheel, Carrick?" I do. Not all the time, but I do have a wheel. Got a wheel setup. Very fun to play. Rallies. All the rally games are fun on wheels. I mean, wheels are awesome. It's just they're a little cumbersome to put together if you live with others and they have to walk around a giant fucking. Because I have the full seat, put together stuff, and flippable, and I don't have anything that moves. Like I don't have that much money.
Right.
But yeah. I did end up on eBay. They have these seats you can buy that you put together with these aluminum stands, and you can put them together any way you want. So you can put like your E-shift, your E-brake and your shifter on, exactly where you want it. You can adjust all of the stuff the way you want. I did do that.
And do you have like the gear shift?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to get. I don't like. Even in my own car, I don't like paddle shifters. My car's got a paddle and a gear. I don't know what it is about paddle shifters. I don't like them. I'll use them in a racing game if like something comes up and I think my hand's in the wrong place or whatever. I might occasionally use them, but I don't like them in real life. For me personally. But I mean, I know a lot of people that they don't have the money for, because it's an extra $50, $60, $70, $200 for a gear shift. As a gamer, if you can get away with just your steering wheel and your pedals, by all means. I mean, I played that way for a long time. I say go for it, because sim racing and adding a bunch of shit is not cheap. Not cheap at all. Assetto Corsa Rally is really good. My rig is on casters, so I just wheel it up to my desk and my wheels. My entire system. You have to put it on wheels. If you don't have your system on wheels, you're gonna be scraping the shit out of the floor. My stuff's on wheels and can flip up, but it's a full seat, so I'm not going to sit here and play like this. That wouldn't be comfortable. Well, I guess it would be comfortable if I was doing a slow. Oh, what is it?
Yeah.
Snow runners or something where
sure. Yeah. But try driving like rally on that.
Dude, we had somebody who was streaming a couple days ago, and they had their thing up, and they were like, "My entire desk, all the items on my desk are flying off because of the force feedback."
Shaking.
And I was like, "Yeah, that can happen for sure." Or you thrust down on your foot to hit a pedal, and then the pedal.
No desk is prepared for that, man.
Not really. Or most of us mount our monitor in a certain way, and it's very possible that if you have everything there, your monitor's moving.
Yeah.
Which the first time I got my setup, that was the first thing I noticed. Was like, oh yeah, the monitor. Now I got to figure that out. It's always more money. Everything is more money, man. No matter what, money will buy you out of most problems. Smartness, but mostly money. I think people have mostly more money than smarts these days. Feel like that's safe.
True. Much easier to buy your way out of something.
Much easier. Yeah, much easier. What do you got for news? You got anything amazing and cool?
Let me check. A few things popped up this week. One interesting thing is the Steam hardware survey that popped up.
Yeah.
This is always kind of cool to look into. They don't have a really good way to present like the most common things. You kind of have to drill into the different categories and see for yourself. So it's not like the perfect way to look at this. I was trying to find, for example, what are the most common graphics cards that people seem to have. I saw here one of the most common, again, it's not sorted, so I can't find it like super easily.
Yeah, sure.
But one of the most common is the 4060.
Mm-hmm.
About 3.7% of people have that one. Which makes sense. Good, middle ground. Funny that I didn't see anything outside of NVIDIA on the like really popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 3070 also at 2.1%, 3050 at almost 3%. And these are the kind of numbers. These are kind of like sort of the highest numbers. So the distribution is pretty spread out. It's not like a big percent has the same card or anything. So, but yeah, NVIDIA seems to still be the pack leader there. The 570 also very popular at 2.7. The other thing is resolutions. So talking about primary display resolution, still 1080p, the most common resolution at 51.93%. Isn't that crazy? So more than half of people who took the thing, their primary display resolution is 1080p. Thoughts?
What's 4K?
Dude, 4K is 4.79%.
And what's 1440p?
1440p is 20.7%. So it goes down very heavily from 1080p, but yeah, 1440p doing well. I
think it would be interesting to see because almost everybody's doing 1080p, but they're playing on higher end monitors, you know, just because most monitors you can still get a 1080p, but at this point you're actually purchasing out of the filter. You're actually exiting your normal channel for the purchase. But you look at like the big games, right? The you know, whether it be a Roblox or, you know, Fortnite or whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 of the biggest games that are currently being played by more than everybody else combined are games that 1080p is going to work, you know. And I know a lot of people who play at 1080p and upscale it too. And I don't know how that's reported, by the way. I don't even know how Steam reports it, because if Steam's reporting resolution via people, I wouldn't trust it at all. Because, dude, the number of times I've talked to somebody and they're like, you know, you ask them what resolution they're on, they'll be like, I'm on 4K, whatever. You'd be like, you're native 4K, or are you like a 720p ultra performance DLSS? I mean, you're still technically at the endpoint 4K, you know, in what your screen is seeing. Looks like shit, but it's like what your screen's seeing. There's a lot of confusion around it. So I don't know how they collect that. But that doesn't surprise me, because Team Fortress 2, those kind of games, people want 200 FPS. You're not getting that on an 8K monitor or 4K, or, you know, I mean, you will now, but for a long time you weren't. So none of that surprises me. I think that it really also is just Steam reporting. So the majority of people playing console are most likely 4K, simply due to how the hardware companies sell you TVs. So you look at console and you're like, well, there's 30 or 60 million people playing at that. What's the Switch output at? Probably 1080p. I think the Switch is 1080p when it's in handheld. Switch 2, sorry.
Yeah, I think so.
There's that. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, especially the more I think about these big games that only lately have come into my realm of being like, this is why things are thrown way off, is because of like a Roblox or something, where you're talking to your group and you're like, yeah, if we're all saying this, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is this not changing or whatever? And then you realize a single game has more people on it than every other game, all combined on every other system. You're like, oh, well, that's why. Because you're still a vocal minority. You're still not even in those.
We're still the niche, in a way.
That's why a lot of times when you talk to gamers, it can become difficult, because what they care about, what I care about, what you care about, dude, and what you want. Like, somebody will say, I want a game to run ultra wide, and you're like, listen, I understand that. But to a game developer, you're quite literally stating, take the most busy part of a graphic presentation where all of the power is used and do even more versus the sky or the ground. And so a developer's like, dude, we would love to, but we've got a performance, you know, here's where our performance is. And then you have ultra wide. Dude, somebody was streaming in Discord, Johnny, a couple days ago. I can't remember who it was.
They had the super wide.
I think they had the super ultra or whatever. It's like 32 by 2. I'm just joking, but it looked like squint vision. It was so crazy. It looked hilarious. Like I would never play it that way. It looked like playing an old Reaper poster that I had in my background, the blue one, on its side, like playing through a Cylon's visor. It was horrible.
Yep.
Because I do like some horizontal. You know, I don't need a bunch, but it's like Christ. But you've got those people too. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It makes sense why when we want something, you know, you have to understand why a developer or a game hardware manufacturer is like, dude, I know you want it, but you're not a part of the. Not to be rude.
Yeah.
You're not a part of the equation.
Yeah, the ultra wide is still kind of a much less popular. The 4K version, which is 3440 by 1440p, that's at about like 3.15% of people.
Mm.
And if we go to the 1440p version, that's around 5%. So these are much lower numbers.
Yeah. And definitely, I mean, I think probably with DLSS and stuff, you'll see more of that. But then you unfortunately get a lot of people who like those resolutions who then are anti the fixes that get them to that resolution. Not everybody, but I'm saying you will definitely get that too, where you get sort of this pinky up. I bought this, so I want native this. And you're like, all right, at some point we're going to, you know, have to meet halfway.
Yeah.
And especially when, like, even talking to developers where I'm like, are you going to support this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, it's not going anywhere. I mean, we're not probably removing it, but it's not exploding, and it's not a mimic of what you see in TV screens yet. If we see that with the majority of sales, we might end up adjusting or added it. And there's a shit ton of games that just don't support it. I just got to see a game last week. And one of the first questions was, are you doing it? No. We're not supporting that. I was like, okay. They weren't being a dick. That sounds like I was saying they were. They weren't. They were just like, of all the things we're going to support right now, the 3 or 4% is not that group right now. You know?
Yeah, still to this day, it's not like a wide adopted format for games.
I think for like, I'm trying to think of even like, if there's a genre that caught on that would change that and how that might look. Like I could see an airplane game, like a flight sim, you know, if you want to see the curve. By the way, I will never own another curved, but if, you know, that kind of game worked and you wanted to see out of the cockpit of your airplane, that might be a thing. But yeah, dude, I remember playing on the old, what was it, 1920 by 1200 or whatever, the 16 by 10, not 16 by 9. And it took me a while to get accustomed to 16 by 9 because I was so accustomed to the horizontal. And I still sort of like it. I still sort of miss it. I got to admit, but it is a little too square.
I see.
We'll have to see, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I had them because they were cheap. They were basically ripped from other companies' failure. So basically, you chop a screen, you get a huge screen. You chop it into pieces. You test it. Those pieces go out at certain resolution sizes. Blah blah blah. And ones that failed, there was this company that was on eBay that they would buy them, and I believe they were Apple, so they were not a bad. They failed Apple's requirement, but they passed this Korean company's requirement. iInc, I think, was one of the companies. I could be wrong on that. And so they were uber cheap, dude, on eBay. Like, to the point to where I might as well fucking just try it because, like, this is ridiculous. And I think I owned 4 by the time I was done because they were amazing, super cheap, high resolution, and you could just buy them, flood them, get them put up. On the other hand, boy, did they not last very long. 3 years.
Yeah, we don't
maybe.
See those anymore, right?
I don't know. I haven't looked for that kind of stuff in a long time. I don't know if those exist. Probably, though. There's always
another interesting takeaway for the VRAM. Most people are on 8 gigabytes. That is 27% people. And the next one is 16.
That's not how percent. That's not most people. 27%. But there's...
No, that's the biggest...
you mean the biggest... Current one block is the biggest at at 8%.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not the major. Okay, you're right. Wait.
The largest majority of a singular memory block is on 8.
The largest set of people here is having 8 gigabytes. I just want to make sure
that, because I know somebody I would hear about that right away.
It's the majority. Yeah. And then 16
bigger,
gigabytes.
Right?
16 gigabytes is the next up
it has to be bigger. I was going to say nobody's on 4, are they? Because, I mean, a lot of the iGPUs are 8, even if they subset 8 and then share the system RAM. So I feel like...
Yeah, you still have even like 1 gigabyte is still like 3% of people somehow.
So I have a 1 gigabyte system right now because it uses all of its RAM as the video card and the CPU. So you can go in there into your BIOS and be like, I want it to be 512 megabytes. And it will still use all of it, but it reports to Steam as 512. So that's another place that you can mess up. All the mini PCs, you will report that insanely small amount, but you might have 128 gigs of VRAM. It's just the way. It's just the way it works.
Can shift around.
The Strix Halo are like that, where I think the Strix Halo, I only recently found out you can go as low as, I think it's 512. Or 1 gigabyte, but one of those two. I'm pretty sure it's 512. And it reports to Steam as the 512 versus, technically, because that's just sort of like your instant, and then you can still use all of them. But, it's weird.
And the very last thing here is that 40.1% of people have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and about 36.6% have 32.
Yep.
So 32 is almost taken over as the biggest contingent. And then 8 is much less overall. It's at 8.15% of people.
Yeah, makes sense, right? We're at that point now where if you're not at 32, you're, at some point you're going to be running into thrashing or something. You're going to...
It's funny that some people have 48 gigabytes, which is the weirdest
96.
number.
You'll see 96 has dropped a lot too. I think one of my systems has 96 now that I think about it. So, yeah. Occasionally you'll get or somebody's mixing RAM. I'm not mixing RAM. There's 48, what do you call it? There's 48 sticks, but yeah, those are weird. We've always been so accustomed to like the 2, 4, 6, 8, well, not 6, 2, 4, 8, and then you start going 16, 32. We sold my old RAM that I pulled out to get the new RAM. We sold my last double sticks of RAM yesterday for 3 times what I bought them for new years ago.
I'm sitting on some RAM from my prior system. I should look into selling. I came
this close to doing some crazy, looking into a RAM drive for the hell of it again. Back in the old days, I used to always mess with those, or just build a mini PC. But I was like, listen, I've got enough. There's nothing I need to do. My system's all talk now. Like there's not a big deal of doing it. And so, we put it on eBay, I think. And my wife DM'd me and she's like, holy shit, we sold that RAM.
Damn.
We've sold 2 packs. We sold the mini PC RAM I took out, which was 32. That paid for 2 PCs to update back in the day. It paid back. And then this one paid for all 3 of the other upgrades. It's really sad that it's that much. Like, it's insane. But I was sitting on it. Like, it was useless. I'm trying to sell more shit, dude. The more shit you get, the more shit gets you. Sort of got to dememorize and get rid of some of my stuff that's just sitting around because you could sell yourself on, I'll use that HDMI cable that's only fucking 1080p 30. It's like, dude, no, you're not. No, you're not. Donate it, write it off on taxes, or give it to somebody who, for whatever reason, might need it. But come on. Recycle centers that'll pull the wire out. Do something with it. I'm new to PC. What's more important, a good CPU or GPU? You'd be surprised. Both. In fact, I think right now is probably the best example of a time when getting a system that is equal across the board is better than ever. Remember when it used to be, it's like, oh, CPU was, and this is still correct, CPU is, technically your FPS as long as you're not pushing processing a ton on the video card was resolution, RAM was your loading, and your OS, and you're pretty good to go. Now you sort of need things to be equal because developers are starting to use, NVMe. Dude, storage didn't advance for so long. I mean, less than 2 years ago, I had friends still playing on hard drives. Like hard drive, 72, it might have 128-bit or 128 megabytes of super fast RAM. They're still playing on hard drives. And now Bethesda games, a ton of games will just straight up be like, dude, you're not running this on a hard drive. So everything has got to this point now, which I think is better because that means mini PCs can sell, because they are that kind of system. I think we're in a better place, balanced. Not price-wise, but yeah, balanced, dude, because you piecemeal the shit out of everything, which I think has a tendency to cause people to overspend. When you piecemeal, you have a tendency to be like, I don't have to get a CPU. I'm going to buy a fucking 5090 Ti, 64 gigabyte special Chinese hacked Uber with its own water cooler, blah, blah, blah. Now, because you can't do that, it's caused you to go, I get a slightly better CPU. Causes people to be smarter on what motherboard they get for future upgrades. Like AMD, for instance, does great with, the length of time you can use the same motherboard. Dude, I know people using motherboards.
Same socket.
Fucking 5 CPUs later, they still have the same motherboard. And you're like, damn. Like, that is ridiculous. So, yeah. Dude, it's exciting to see, though. I just wish it wasn't attached to RAM. I love the idea of 16 and 32 being much higher. I think it helps game devs, and it helps your OS run better. It helps things be more snappy, but holy shit, man.
Yeah, because now they can look at that and say, it's reasonable for us to aim for the average user to have 16 gigs instead of 8, which was the case for a long time.
Yeah. 8 gigabytes is so little, dude. I'm just right now running through my brain.
The OS. Dude, right now my OS is burning through.
But I'm just thinking of PDFs I have and how just a couple of dozen of my PDFs would make especially because of how, depending on if you use an NVMe or SSD or hard drive, you get to 50%. Right. Now you see a dramatic decrease in performance. And I'm just sitting here going thrashing on the hard drive, thrashing on the SSD or the NVMe, the fucking the RAM itself. I turn all that shit off on OSs, the crazy. It doesn't really net you much now, but I'll turn off the fancy transparencies and shit. I like a basic. Okay. I like my basic. I have all of those. You have them on?
Dude, my system. I have everything on. My system is sucking up 18 gigabytes out of my 64. And I just have Chrome, Discord, a few other things. It's really not a ton.
Let me look. This is interesting. All right.
It's just
now I have 128. So it'll use proportionally. It will try to use. Oh, no. I'm at 21. But listen, Firefox with 197 tabs. So be that as it may, I have 197 tabs open, is 14 gigabytes because I have the tabs for search and stuff. Firefox, even with the hibernation, Firefox, and Chrome is worse. Edge, very nice, but some of the stuff I do and use won't do that. And I have every browser known to man. Dude, I'll take open source browsers to fuck around with those. Once you start opening research levels of tabs, shit starts going crazy. But I have tab groups. I'm just not worried about it because I have the RAM. If I didn't have 128, I would just hibernate all that, move it into a slot.
You must have them organized somehow. It's not literally just them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just say organize by topic matter of each page and I'll organize it in the browser. But I don't worry about it because of the system I have. But it's definitely something you need to watch out for at 32. On the other hand, I'll have that many open on the mini PC too. I mean, browsers and OSs are really good at using the RAM that they have. So they'll still do what you want. Might not be as quick, But all my stuff's mirrored, so I just jump over to Firefox, hit a button, and all the browsers and everything pop back up as if I'm on the other PC anyway. And it's got way less. 197 is low, by the way, because usually when I'm researching, it'll be 3 browsers with, I mean, a massive number. Because I'm always trying to read stuff and bounce, and I'll be like, right-click, open in background, open in background, open in background, open in background, and then read each one in order. I just like reading stuff, man.
Right.
Yeah. Do you use Brave? I used to use Brave. I hate it now, but I used to use Brave. Let's see. What else do we got for news? We got anything cool? Got anything amazing?
Oh, check this out.
Checking out. Wait, hang on. I'm ready. Go.
Okay. So I forgot the name of the dev, but the guys that make like It Takes Two, Split Fiction, A Way Out.
Joseph?
They reported.
Ferris?
Yeah, Joseph. They reported like over 50 million sales of all of their games. So it breaks out to 13 million for A Way Out, their first one. 30 million for It Takes Two, which was Game of the Year.
Yep.
Is insane. And 7 million for Split Fiction, which hasn't been around for as long, but still a good number. But 30 million for that game, man. Wow.
And I firmly believe all those numbers make sense. Your gun fans got the first one, which is a good natural contingent of gamers, and they own the genre. There's no other game that's even Reanimal or your what's the other ones that are in these sort of shared screen spaces. Nobody's close to those guys. But that second one hit families, divorcees, parents, daughters, sons, grandkids, grandparents. Dude, that game. And by the way, I don't know what the Game of the Year thing does. I know some companies reported it didn't do anything, and some have reported it's helped them. I don't think the majority of that is Game of the Year. The majority of that is straight up that game was awesome.
The game was good.
It was
and
miniature.
The game spoke to people.
Yep, it was like grounded, where miniatures, and it spoke to people. Yeah, and it shows the fucking number of people who like that style of game. So anytime I'm like, Arma isn't sold that much, I can just look at that and go, yeah, it's not that, man. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is like, and what did that sell? 1 or 2 were on Game Pass, right? 1 or 2 of those games were on Game Pass day one, or were they on a?
Now you're getting me. They had the Friend Pass, so like your friend played for free.
That's another one. Yeah, Friend Pass.
Yeah,
so
they were EA because it's from EA,
right?
So I think they're included in the EA Play,
which
then is like grandfathered in from the Game Pass. Yeah. But yeah, that's an insane number. I'm curious if anyone in chat remembers It Takes Two. Now that we were talking about it, I was remembering the whole thing about the Book of Love, and the Mexican sounding book that would show up all the time. But they had, I think, some of the most fun mini games in all of the games they've done. They had like some fighting game segments, like a lot of variety. And then Split Fiction kind of had its own way of variety and changing up gameplay that got really insane. But I think for mini games, It Takes Two was like their peak. Yeah, really excited to see what those guys do next. Because it kind of looks like every time they shift up the gameplay, they kind of want to do something different with each one. You guys are saying those games aren't on EA Play, at least not at launch. Thank you, Panohiro, for the correction there. So they are EA, but like I guess you need the extra tier, the premium tier, to get it.
Right. But they're still on a subscription of some kind, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was the pricier one, not like the very cheap one.
But what I'm saying is, if they were, then those sales that they reported couldn't have been those players, which is even more impressive, is what I'm saying.
So it's even more.
Yeah. Listen,
yeah, because sales don't figure from the subscription.
Yeah. So when we see this reported for Xbox, and people bitch and moan that I don't say that for Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, that I don't separate, then I also can't for these guys, or have to, just depending on which tact you're going to take. So if he's not counting those, which I'm assuming he's not saying players, but he's saying sales.
Yeah, they said sales. I don't know if somehow...
Let's go with sales.
They could,
we won't worry about it. Dude, that's insane. That's fucking unbelievable.
Insane number.
Yeah, that's insane numbers. This is why I always get mad when people, they'll say sales on this, but like if it happens on PlayStation or happens on Xbox
I'm always
or Nintendo,
wondering if
they'll be mad about it.
They do take into account the players, but they call it sales.
Dude, you'd be in so much...
You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd be in so much trouble if you called that sales. Because it's
Really?
not... Yeah, because it's not... Because then every game on your system could just explain everything as sales. That's not how... That is technically very close to fraud. Because you are part... You have no clue if that is not a sale.
You're finagling your numbers.
We also talked about this with free games. His co-op system that he's got, which is amazing. That's not a purchase. If a person plays it,
right,
but the other person bought it, and you get that co-op,
that is not a sale.
And if you want to say engagement,
that's impressive too, right? Because 2 people played, but only one counts in your...
Listen, almost everybody I know bought it. And they bought it even after playing it with a friend because they liked it. I'm trying to give some kudos here. It shows why when you are bitching that your M16's perfect fire rate is not mimicked in your game, or you are complaining about some hyper technical thing you want in your next game. I mean, I can see why sometimes those things aren't answered, because the real focus is on this shit. The real focus is on, it's another reason why you hear people get mad that a company does mobile. And I'm like, listen, I want my real games, but the reason why this company maybe has a service game or a mobile game is because when you look at good service or mobile games, their sales, it's like, holy shit. No wonder this company that does AAA games also wants a little bit of mobile, because that can keep you in business. Dude, those guys have to be... That's insane numbers. It's over every one of their systems. This last one, I don't think will sell nearly as well, and it certainly doesn't seem like it has. 7 million. I'm not saying Crimson Desert is a good example, but Crimson Desert already sold 4 in 2 weeks, right? Again, I'm just saying, if you look at the number, for perspective, yeah. Dude, that's fucking good for them, man. Dude, it's so weird, because prior to that game coming out, I was just like, I think I'll like it. Don't know how they're going to do the split screen on it, the first one, and played it with Reg and was like, God damn, they nailed it. But I still didn't know if it was going to take off. And now I do want them to do... I want them to do well. I wonder if they'll ever look at It Takes Two's numbers and go, It Takes Two. Or do a 4-player and go, It Takes 2 more.
It takes 4.
No, it takes 2 more. You could do it that way. You could do, or It Takes 4, but It Takes 4 sounds very close to something in the 70s in the back of a van. But you could either way.
Wow.
I'm just saying, It Takes 4. You're like, what takes 4?
Okay. Yeah, who's taking 4? What's going on?
Who's taking 4? That's called air gapping. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I wonder if they're ever going to look, or maybe they can pull it out of their back pocket if they are having problems.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I have no issue with a company doing that. They've got so much success, and God bless them, man. They're great games. They're great games. It's fucking awesome. Good for them.
It's great to see.
Good for them.
And EA is treating them well. Apparently, they've said, listen, EA just lets us do what we want to do.
Almost every, I can't say every, but almost every independent developer, when they're with EA, loves them. They're one of the larger independent, big companies.
If you make good games,
games,
they treat you well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't really have any, as an entity, seeing a lot of my friends who do small games do well. I'm just You know, I mean, I can bitch about anything. I can bitch because it's too hot and not realize that the sun is what gives us life. Like at some point, you can bitch about anything. But today, we're going to try to not do that. It's just celebrating the good.
Well,
and I'm really happy for them.
What did EA get so much flack for in the past? Because they've been on blast a lot. Was it just some of the games? Like, what was the one that they ended up retiring? The Iron Man flying guys.
Avengers? Oh, you mean no. Anthem?
Anthem, yeah. Was it because like a few of those games?
Well, it depends on the person, because some people don't give them flack at all because they know it's a business. Other people give them flack for every single thing they do. But they've had flack for a shit ton of stuff.
I feel like they were the bad guys for a while, and then kind of Ubisoft took a bit of it.
Yeah. It also, I mean, sometimes it's their leadership, the people in charge. People just don't like the person in charge, where that person just does not resonate. For example, because EA's gone back and forth and they've had so many leaders, and right now they're pretty high. But look at somebody who was current really with Sony. I just think most people didn't like Jack Ryan at all, or Jim Ryan. Sorry. I think a lot of people just didn't like him at all. They didn't like the way he portrayed Sony. They didn't like the way Sean Layden left, who, weirdly enough, now when you look, Sean Layden's sort of gone towards the Jim Ryan side, you know. But it's just sometimes a leader doesn't look good, and then sometimes the company's overall idea of things doesn't look good. And then sometimes, and no one wants to admit this, the developers don't have the talent to pull off something at all. And it's the developer's fault. And it's weird because that's not the same as lazy devs. And I know why people like don't want to hear that, because they want a conspiracy for everything. Like a person, they wake up in the morning, they're like, there has to be a conspiracy for everything because those make me safe and comfortable. The world isn't like that. Sometimes a developer doesn't have the talent to pull off whatever they promised, and you get it, and you're like, damn, let's blame above them. People blamed above, like, for pretty much since I was a kid. You know, there's always like, it must be somebody above's fault. Sorry.
Sometimes wasn't a great game, you know? They had a crack.
They had a crack and they weren't talented enough. It
didn't land.
Their artist isn't good enough. They're not good enough. I mean, and you've dealt with this in the real world. You deal with it all the time. You put a team together and you find out somebody on your team is not good enough. It has nothing to do with a lead, has nothing to do with the publisher, has nothing to do. It's that person is not good enough, and they can cause the entire project to fail. And I've seen it happen so many countless times, but it's much easier to have a conspiracy for everything. It's much easier to be like, oh, we need to bring this down. It's this. Obviously not saying that at the same time, there aren't some really shitty practices.
Well, it's an easier narrative to buy into, because it's also not like putting the blame on a person. It's more so like an entity, right? And we kind of subconsciously assume that it's all kind of evil and motivated by money, which to some extent they, you know,
for sure, everything
is at the business level.
Yeah, like I said, Sean Layden was sort of the champion at Sony for indies for a long time, internally and externally. And now is working for one of the companies that you're like, damn. And the stuff he says even is such a tidal wave turn. The commentary is like a different
how the
human.
turns have tabled.
Yep, they have tabled. Those turns have tabled. So, let's see. Let's see. Oh, God. Yeah. See, I knew it. All we're doing is just, now there's just a bunch of people bitching. Probably shouldn't ask about that. Yeah. Let's talk about something good. Open the can of worms there. Well, yeah. It's just like there's, there's always going to be tabletop, wordsmiths, armchair quarterbacks, but there's also going to be shitty companies, unfortunately. Yeah.
Did you see the Don't Starve game? The new Don't Starve game? It's called Don't Starve Elsewhere.
Don't Starve Anywhere Else. No, I haven't seen it.
Pretty cool.
Didn't get on with Don't Starve, so.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, gotcha.
Didn't hate it. Didn't hate it. Just just didn't get a chance to really dive in.
Yeah. It was viewed as like one of the best games of that type. pretty broadly.
What do we call it? Isometric, cartoony survival?
Yeah, isometric survival. Yeah, multiplayer. Slash cozy, semi-cozy, not really
now
cozy.
How many genres do we got? That's 5. That's 5. Dude, yeah. What are we going to do? We need to call it like metal bands where they mix it. They'll be like, instead of like goat chanting hard rock, they'll be like garrock. We need to come up with, we need to mix it together.
Need a new genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fairly unique in what they do. And this one is still isometric, but it's got a little bit more, like maybe a 0.5 to it at times.
Sweet.
A little bit. Sweet. And some cool new sort of animations and more flashy stuff, but along the lines of what we know and love for those of us who do. And cool. So they have like a trailer, little showcase on YouTube you guys can check out. But I don't think there's any date or anything specific yet.
Hey, I'm happy as a clam that like they're doing it. I just, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to like get every game. Saw a bunch of people talking about it. Same thing happened with not directly connected, but Cult of the Lamb, where I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then, you have somebody who comes in and you try to sell it on them and they're like, dude, I got 15 games. Should I like throw this game down and play the game you're talking about? And you're like, well, maybe get back to it. And then 5 years later, they forget it's in their library. I think
you need a group.
I think it was early access too. Was it not?
Oh yeah. For a while it was, but I think it just shines with having a consistent group. So if we said like, listen guys, we're going to shard some time to jump into this, for the next couple of weeks, then you're going to have a great time, I feel. But if you're kind of jumping in by yourself, I don't know. It's not really the kind of game that I would play solo, personally.
Debate Nate says, I have a philosophy question. Who do you think has a higher hill to climb? Bethesda for Elder Scrolls 6 or Larian on the new Divinity to match BG3 quality? I mean, they're both massive IPs, so their hill is already cut off at the top, like oil companies digging in the mountains. I mean, it's going to be they could almost deliver the identical game engine and just get their story and shit in there, and you've got guaranteed. I guess there's two ways to look at it. Oh my God, they need to change everything to one-up Baldur's Gate / EG6, or they don't need to do much of anything other than deliver it well and deliver to fans something that like invigorates the fans. But I mean, Skyrim was 12, 13, 14 years ago. And it's going to be
big difference, isn't
or
it?
16. Yeah, it's.
Yep.
I think Elder Scrolls, they probably, and they've got online that they have to contend with because the writing and online is actually pretty good compared to Elder Scrolls. Yep. But Larian sort of knows their thing. I've been a fan of them. I actually much more than Baldur's Gate, like Divine Divinity. I think the writing is spectacular in that. I like it a good deal better than Baldur's Gate. So they've been good for a long time.
Yeah,
I think
they've iterated on that.
Yeah, and
way more.
And the Divinity original games are good. I don't know. I mean, they certainly are not as lauded as Baldur's Gate. I think Baldur's Gate is also an IP issue where it was Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of us were fans of 1 and 2 to the point of Beamdog releasing emulator versions and I mean, dude, those games are huge. So
yeah,
both of those teams have a ton of IP investment that will get them free sales, a ton of IP investment that will get them anger. And I can't see either one having a bigger hill. Maybe let's go with I'll go with Elder Scrolls. I'll go with Elder Scrolls. I think Larian still got the shine that like people are like, they're perfect. They're perfect.
Because like you said, they could pretty much use the same engine and everything, right? They're there where we could have another game that looks exactly like that, but just with the new setting.
Agreed.
And we would be happy with that.
Yeah.
While Bethesda has kind of does have a big gap to bridge from where they were to where they want to be now, and questions to answer. Is it what they did for Starfield? Is that going to be the target, or did they want to go even kind of beyond, try something different? But they can't just sort of rest on the laurels, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, Larian hasn't changed since the original. They've just been like,
Yeah, they're iterating, aren't they?
Yeah, there's
on
like
the
a
same type of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, generally.
Yeah.
And I love, dude, like I said, Divinity Original Sin is amazing, but when you play it, or Divine Divinity, sorry, when you play it and you play Baldur's Gate 3, even though they're different rule sets and everything, there's something about them that you're like,
recognizable, for sure.
Yeah. Where with Morrowind, Skyrim, Daggerfall, Oblivion, all those games, sorry, my fucking mustache is scratching my nose. I'm not doing cocaine. It's killing me, man. When I shaved, I must have like shaved up or something. They're tickling my nose. When you look at those games, they did have to change and adjust to like gamers' expectations of third person or first person, depending on if you can switch. I also think there's a higher competition in first third than there is in isometric. Nothing against isometric games, but there's something about first and third that people are like looking at every texture, including me, like hyper wanting the highest level. And when you play a game like Divinity Original Sin or you play Baldur's Gate, there's a shit ton of Baldur's Gate 3, like horrible textures, like cottage cheese textures, but you don't notice as much. Yeah,
because we're not looking there.
Yeah, you go into a cutscene, maybe you see it, but usually it's looking at the people's faces, and you might see it on the side.
And you can sort of zoom in, but
sort of.
It's kind of like accepted that when you zoom in, it's not going to look as good.
Yeah,
it's almost like we're accepting that.
Yep.
Whereas with the other one, we're expecting this, and now the bar just keeps going higher and higher. Crimson Desert and stuff.
I heard a guess that BGS3 will lean into procedural tech. Okay, can I just point out? Starfield didn't make that. That's Daggerfall. I don't know how. Some people just need to not talk. When it comes to the procedural thing, and when it comes to all of this stuff for procedural, I think procedural and AI generational and AI cooperative and AI mechanistic, which is a new term. Alps, that's what I was saying. I don't quite know where those things are coming from, but I think there's a lot of terms out there that get very confused and also are used as a weird slight. So like procedural generation, for instance, used to be sort of a perceived slight until No Man's Sky came around. And No Man's Sky showed that a tech that people hated can be used well. And I don't know why it is that we see this every single fucking time in games. Compression. There were people who were like, oh, well, it's compressed. It definitely can't be as good as natural. Oh, DLSS. Now, DLSS, I think, I'm not talking about 5, but I think with DLSS, there are some takeaways there. But it feels like every 3 or 4 years, you and I even, now, we've been here long enough, that we see like a kibosh of something, and then it only takes one game to do it well. And then everybody's like, best new tech ever created. Oh, dude. Can't we start with that? Can't we start with there's some hope on the horizon for this particular tech? It would be really nice to start it up. The hope you had as a kid when you played games the first time when you didn't know as much tech. And it doesn't take much to read an article and be like, I am an expert at said thing. And then it's just weird, man. I don't know. No, Lombardo, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I wasn't talking even about you. Just sort of a weird situation that occurs around when somebody says something, and especially for whatever reason, the word is the description, and it's wrong. and it gets spread around. Sure, I've done it. I try not to, but that's why I got 197 goddamn tabs open. So I'm always trying to learn something. Do you know who I've been following lately? Unreal Sensei a bunch. Again, the guy who does the Unreal, where he shows you how to use Unreal to make like a Himalayan ice castle or something like that. And watching somebody who's an expert putting together a level in Unreal fast. To the point to where if somebody saw them, they might be like, it didn't take him long enough. It can't be a masterpiece. But I'm looking at it going, that's a fucking masterpiece, man. Like that's, it's like bitching because
that's a
somebody
weird
does
perception thing as well.
It is. Speed painters have been a thing since the state fair in the 1800s, where you get a speed painter, you can pay him $5 and they would like super quick paint your face or draw your face and it looked pretty good. Are they artists? Of course they are. Of course they are. And have you seen a Van Gogh? Looks like dog shit. A Van Gogh looks like a speed painter who was really bad made it. So I'm sorry. It's, I just think that dividing line is weird. What else do we got?
Yep.
We got anything else very cool?
Let me check my stuff here. I think that's all I had. We have couple questions in the Discord.
We had some good questions. Oh, by the way, do me a giant favor. Molotov posted, but she accidentally posted in the general questions a couple weeks ago. Can you go and find Molotov's in general? Because she was popping into Discord. We hadn't talked to her in a while. I would appreciate it.
Found it already. Should I read it?
Yes. Yeah.
So she was saying, when reviewing games and discussing the graphics, do you feel that YouTube is unfit for purpose nowadays due to its bitrate, muddying the footage? Good graphics does not show well on YouTube anymore. I find with almost any game. I load the game and it's much better than the footage often. And the second question, how's your dog?
So the dog she's talking about passed away. He's doing really well. He's up in little doggy heaven.
Doggy heaven.
Doggy heaven. 3 of them are. We've still got 3 others. They're doing great. Lau's a little on the old side, but I think he's 4 years now past when he's his old age. So we're he's sticking around. Yep. He's asleep. But yeah, Ming passed away. Loki passed away. Zen passed away. They did well, man. They had good lives. That was my job, to make sure they had good lives, and they did. So I appreciate that question. Yeah, I would agree. YouTube, there's some fixes you can do to make YouTube look a little better, but YouTube basically has their version of a codec that is it used to be VB, now it's VB9, I think. Variable bit 9 is sort of the shorthand for it, and it can create muddy graphics. I think your best bet is to assume that artistically the design and the ideals you can see perfectly on YouTube. Colors, pretty close. You can look at those and go, that's for sure. When it comes to finite details, if a person is going to show you, for example, anti-aliasing, you can zoom in and you can stop the video, which will give you a higher bit rate for that spot and sort of a better pixel complexity on YouTube. But yeah, obviously, you're going to see a game on YouTube that even if it is uploaded at 4K, VB kicks the shit out of your footage. But I think still games as games are not about what Michelle and I would be talking about in chat. That is requiring something beyond YouTube. But when you look at the games themselves, I've never once, and I don't even think it would be humanly possible to look at YouTube and be like, I can't understand what this game is. Unless they have bad encoding. If they upload a shit, 1 megasecond footage, then yeah, you're going to notice some horrendousness. But there is yet, and I'm looking at all game trailers that are coming out, there's been yet to be a time where I looked at it and been like, and then played it and been like, this is completely unrepresentative of the game that they showed. That would be glaucoma.
Although I will say that, not every YouTuber is born equal. And to give you credit, your stuff is primo, right? Like your stuff
but I'm
looks
saying
great.
Even when we're watching streams, I'm not talking about creating, because I do try to do a high bit rate, but I'm talking about like if you and I were sitting there watching Guardians of the Galaxy, unless it was horrible bit rate upload,
agree. Yeah, you can still
tell,
perceive the game pretty close to. But I mean, sometimes we see like artifacts and stuff where a really dark area has these like kind of banding things,
macro blocking and
blocking and stuff.
They look terrible,
and that sometimes is so bad in footage, even of like really big outlets on YouTube.
Yeah. Do you know what's terrible, Johnny?
Some of that is hard, but
no, you're right. I was just going to say 4K maxed out stream on Netflix still has banding because they use compression, and the compression will get that band wrong, and it'll be like gray block, gray block, gray block, and you'll be like, why is that shadow got these weird macro blocks in it? But it won't make you go, that's not a shadow, that's an alien octopus.
Yeah.
If it doesn't change that point, we're fine.
What the game looks like as a game, it might, is just like distracting, or
it is. Yeah. And it's never going to get better. They'll do different codecs maybe, but you're talking about more every single minute of every single day, more data than the prior minute in the prior day is uploaded than the minute prior. So it just continues. So if I upload 1 megabyte,
my brain
stopped working. If I upload 1 megabyte of data 1 hour ago, then it'll be 1.1 this hour, 1.2 the next hour. It never goes down. It only goes up. Unless YouTube has some kind of restriction they start putting on, it will never go down. So they can't magically be like, we want to like have a higher bit rate, because the server farms are not there yet. There is nothing that can collect that. That's why VB was created. VB was created for 2 reasons for YouTube. One, it can kick the shit out of your stuff and still generally look like whatever you wanted to upload. 2, automatic and variable ad insertion, which we haven't seen too much of yet. But basically, if you think about it this way, right now, ad blockers there's all kinds of crazy ways you can get, to block an ad. But in the future, YouTube can basically embed the ad to happen at different times. So even if you had the timestamps of the ads, they wouldn't be right, because there's some blockers that use the timestamp. So the first person watches the video, those ads come up, that goes to a database. People who have that extension on Firefox, that database says 10:01, Jeremy does an ad, or there's an ad, we're blocking it. VB lets automatic variable anytime ads to be added to a video, and that sucks. Because
undodgeable
ads. You're just like yeah, man. But it's a good question, Michelle, and I agree with you. And she and I, if we're in chat, we're going to be talking on the level of like, well, because I get nerdy beyond even what Digital Foundry's talking about. Like, I'll be like talking about some stupid, not because I'm smart, I'm saying because they're putting out a video and we're just in Discord where you're diving into the weirdest little albedo discussion.
Sure.
But when we're talking about a YouTube video, I think you can still for sure see what a game is and what it looks like.
Yeah, and all kinds of stuff you would notice when you're playing that doesn't matter when you're watching a video. Like if there's snow, if I'm playing the game, I'm looking like, does it remember my trail? So if I circle back, is my trail still there? What's the limit? I kind of get nerdy with that stuff, but that's not something I care about when I'm looking at a review for a game. That's not right. That doesn't represent how fun the game is.
It's interesting. It's crazy how much bit rate you can get away with if there's not a lot of movement. So like Dispatch, I could upload a video of Dispatch, throw that thing down to like 35 double pass on a video card, and as long as it was double pass on a video card, 3.5 megs, and be fine.
Yeah.
There would probably be some issues in some of the cartoon stuff. If you go to like 8 or 9, it's going to look as good as it can possibly look on anything streamed. Yet, if you were to try that with fucking Ninja Gaiden, it would be
Dude,
you know who one of the worst offenders is? 3 letters, big company. big video game company, does a lot of videos. Their bit rate is fucking atrocious. And they'll get like first videos and stuff like that. And I'll be like, if I was a developer and I saw that video on YouTube, I would be so mad because there have been times where it was less than a megasecond. And I'll be like, are you shitting me? It's just,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
What else do we got?
We got a couple other questions in the Discord. Should we go to that or?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Ginger Nips says, since you are often one of the first to play some of these games, do you ever go out of your way to try and exploit mechanics or purposely break in-game systems? If so, do you have a specific methodology to find said exploits or bugs? And do you have a favorite moment where you managed to completely derail a game?
If I'm reviewing a game, that would be pretty disadvantageous to the review to like be like, I'm going to try to go out here and break a bunch of shit. I'll play organically and something's breakable and it pops up. Yeah, that's a different thing. That's almost like a QA or trying to make a top 10 glitches in this game.
Is that just so I understand, is it because you want like a representative sample
I want a person
of
just
like what other people will have?
Just playing a game. Because I don't even play normal games like that I don't review, meaning I play the game for the game, I don't load up a game and say, what can I break? I load up a game and say, what's the game? But if there are breakable things that I do discover, I absolutely will fuck around with it to see what's happening. You know, like what somebody just mentioned, Warthogs and Halo, for sure. If I was reviewing Halo and I saw the Warthog stuff, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. What can I do? You know, and if they're fun, all the more power to them. But when you're playing a game for a review, there's a difference between like just reviewing the game and saying and what's in it and talking about sound music. Those are more important to me than being like, hey, look, I figured out that if I put these 5 wooden blocks together and then bump an old lady into them at 3 p.m. every night, you know, she launches into space. That's awesome. And I would put it in the review if I found it, but I won't go seeking it. I'm seeking to play the game.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But those are fun. Those are fun. And every Rockstar game, by far the best. But people think it's Bethesda. I don't think so. I think the best games to have like just weird shit happen is absolutely Rockstar every time. Even LA Noire, just weird stuff is always going on in those games.
Yeah, that would randomly break the game.
Yeah, crazy shit.
And then this one from Please Don't Delay GTA 6.
Dom.
Wait, is this?
That's Dom.
Okay, keeps changing his name.
Always, yeah.
Okay. What's the most you'll pay for a PS6? Are you excited about the John Wick game in development? And what style of game would you want it to be, such as more Sifu-like, but with guns, or Max Payne 3 type?
You go first. You answer these 3 first.
Okay, so for the PS6, I would pay up to $1,000. No, probably more, around $900. Unless it has something very compelling, then I might go to $1,000. If you say like, you know, it's got some insane thing that you can only have there.
Sure.
But as long as games that are still playable in PS5, I think it's a hard sell for me if it goes beyond 900. What about you?
PS5 6?
Yeah.
If it's above 500, it's a hard sale.
Damn, bro. We're already at 800 for the PS5.
Yeah, but that's not my problem. That's theirs. I have nothing to do with whatever price they choose. 600 would be doable, but I'm telling you, they don't want to, and I'm saying it out loud, they do not want to be handing me a console for review at 600, because I will review it,
because your expectations,
and I'll buy one, but my expectations will be commensurate. If they hit it, great. But you're talking, just because RAM prices have adjusted doesn't mean you're getting the delta that the price adjustment is indicating. And unless something happens in those systems, and Microsoft is supposedly, we're hearing all the rumors, we've heard multiple people say it, whether it turns out to be true or not, supposedly got the more powerful system by a good measure. Same thing with Microsoft. I'm not saying I expect these prices. He asked, like, you know, I'm like, if I'm buying it, right? If I'm buying it, if that thing's $600, the amount that I want from that thing, I'm telling you, those fucking controllers, they better, you know, if they have a touch pad, there better be a goddamn good reason. I mean, everything will be nitpicked because that delta in price is not commensurate with the hardware you're getting. If they go to $999 for the review, would I get it? It depends on if I have an influx of money. That's an insane amount of money to me. That is an insane amount of money. That is a unrealistic amount of money for a console. It is beyond belief unrealistic. So what they would need to do for $900 is offer something that is so out of my brain right now for what they could offer, but it would include 20 free games. It would include 4 controllers. They would have to do something that would make $900. That's my mortgage, man. That's not, we're not playing anymore. I don't use it for work. I don't use the console except to review games, but I have to buy that. I can't use it to make money. I would have to buy a game to use it to make money. I can use my PC for all that. That is completely unacceptable. I'm not saying it won't happen. They have a problem on their hands, man. They have a problem. I don't even know how they're going to get out of either one of those companies. They need to subsidize it.
Yeah.
Like, they need to subsidize it heavily. And I don't
as
know
a reviewer, doesn't it make it tricky for you when you have like these external factors driving prices up? So like RAM and stuff. Do you now need to adjust your expectations because expecting value X of a console now comes at a larger premium because of the underlying substrate that
no, because the world hasn't adjusted. If everything had adjusted to the 900, then you're looking at 900 is worth 900. But their version of 900 is going to still be still basically, to me, going to be like a 500, where I'm like, that's what I would want to pay. 5 to 6 would be a good price. $200. I think the Switch started out, Switch 2 was $450. Was that right? Switch 2 was
something like that.
Okay. So 100, 150 more than the portable device, even though we all know the portable device has more utility, it's less powerful. Yeah, dude, the delta in gaming is not reflected everywhere. It's reflected a lot of places because prices have jumped, but they haven't jumped in that way, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's basically, it's close to double what it was. It would need to deliver double the power. And I'll buy one. If they give me a review, I'll buy one. And if they don't, I'll buy one. But the difference is going to be pretty dramatic in the timing of that. Because I can tell you, PS5 Pro, bullshit. With what it gives you, fuck that.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
The diff is so small.
Dude, no way.
For the price, I mean.
If we get a PS5 6 and we've got like your DLSS, whatever version they do, and you've got like some things that I'm not even thinking of, it's going to need backwards compatibility to be ace. Perfect. It's OS perfect. It's going to have to deliver. And by the way, I'm not the only one saying this. Almost every gamer I talk to is saying the same thing. If a price like that is 900, they start looking at an extra couple hundred to put together or start putting pieces into their PC and just hoping for the best at that route. Which I don't know if I'm firmly in agreement with that, but I do see where they're talking about it. Also, if it's backwards compatible, we know they're not going to leave the PS5 to die. So it'll be forward compatible for a while. So why not just, did I say PS4? I meant to say PS5.
We know their business model is eventually start releasing stuff only for the new console.
Yeah.
Just like they did, Demon's
and I
Souls
will eventually buy their new console.
Right.
Yeah.
So the timing will have to be
Yeah. You should match the company, it's not a charity, right? So if they're going to eventually wrap up PS5 support, I will eventually buy the PS6 at $900. But day one, can you imagine that, Johnny? Day one, $900
you also
doesn't even make sense.
You need a calculus for what value they're offering beyond the console itself, which is games. So if they got one, what the games do. So if they got one exclusive game that does something not that outside of what you're used to, that's not worth a whole system for $900, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a point, like a threshold, where you say, okay, that's enough value for me to buy into it. And for everybody, that's going to be different.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, too, we do know that they want to drive the prices down. Like, there's, I mean, even when it comes to materials, the big companies absolutely want to drive it down. They don't want to be at that cost because that actually stops sales of a majority of items just for one particular thing to have a higher delta, which nobody in the industry wants. Like, that's a disaster for pretty much everybody. They would rather be able to sell you various other systems and devices, more of them, versus having you spend a bunch on one very particular thing, especially when that particular thing is currently cornerstoned by two companies, which is ridiculous, by the way. We're in this problem because we're in this problem. Like, everybody, we let it get here, sort of. So I personally, I see Sony, Microsoft, and Valve looking at subsidies. I don't know how they would do it. It probably won't be a bunch. Sony likes to make money too. Remember that. So I think Sony's pretty close to, it's not always breaking even, but Sony likes to be closer to breaking even. Nintendo definitely breaks even. To give an example of why they break even too, and why their devices are a certain way, Nintendo's devices aren't just low power to be low power, hardware-wise. They're low power so that they can put it all together and make money on every sale. So if you decide you're going to start making money on every sale, guess what the PlayStation's power delta does? It goes down. You lose power. If you want to make money, the only thing that's gone up are certain components in the device. So if you want to make money on that device, you actually have to do less. That's nerve-wracking, because that means a PS6 or a Xbox could technically be even less powerful than we expected at a cheaper price if RAM prices were lower, CPU prices were lower. I would rather have them hold off. I would rather have them hold off until a couple of fabs get together and figure out, because the fabs want to sell RAM, obviously. They want more people buying more RAM. They would love to have you buy 256 and 256 in 4 years than 256 one time in 6 years. That's why if you ever hear people talking about like, oh, it'll stay that hot, that's not how it works. It's never how it works. It will drop down. Will it drop down to the super low prices we saw before? No, I don't think it can, because there's going to be a premium there that people will want to hit. But we were also getting RAM at super cheap prices. I mean, dude, I got 128 gigs of RAM for $199 on sale.
That's crazy.
They were cheap. Yeah. So
almost like $1, per.
Yeah, true. Again, on sale. There was a sale on it, but still. Yeah, it's interesting because I think business economics, RAM is a part of a console. I think that's what confuses people, is they think everything is risen, and actually a lot of those parts in the device have gone down. So it appears like, oh, at 900 we're going to get some massive thing. It's like, no, technically you will most likely get a lesser item. So you want them to come down. I think the companies want to make sure that their devices look awesome, so they're going to want to outdo their competitor. If I had billions, I would subsidize it over the top of another competitor. We talked about this with Steam.
Do you think they would adjust the price? Let's assume the sort of crisis we have now does subside, and eventually,
You mean if they release at 900 and then they could
sell
it?
Is this... Because someone in chat was saying, naturally, the problem becomes that this now is the new baseline, in a way. The current price for PS5. And if this is now the baseline, even I'm saying I'm, quote, okay with that, or I'm sort of accepting that on its face value, and I'm saying the next one will be at least that. So would you expect them to maybe lower that price or like take the baseline back down?
After the sale?
After, yeah, talking
it's already
like
selling
post
at $9.99, then it goes down to $500 because they can make it cheaper at some point in the future. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, it should be pointed out that 2 or 3 of the people who get rumors right most of the time have already stated Sony has indicated that the PlayStation 6 is going to be in the $600 to $700 range, already lower than what we're talking about right now. Most likely because they're thinking along the lines of what I'm thinking. But if you sell your device at $900, can you sell it cheaper? Yes, because all of history, human history, has quite literally done that. Every console other than this console has done that. So if anybody tries to say this is the baseline, look at the history of all consoles going back. It is not the baseline. It's exactly the opposite of the baseline. I should know because I bought a system at $500, then bought it at $300, then bought it at $199 because I had stomped on one and the other one got pissed on by a dog. So those had been dropped down in price and they were for the new devices. So history indicates, of course, you can drop the price. However,
I hadn't thought of that, but even PS3 was, of course, very high price, and then
there's no baseline of dropping, and it doesn't drop quality because your quality starts at 900. You're like, holy shit! Let's say they deliver a good device at 900. Guess what's going to happen at 700? People will be like, whoa, it was a good device. I'm not saying I believe this, but it's a good device at 900. I'll get a 7, then it's 5. If they're making money, what they'll do is drop the price when they stop making money. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to understand. But they also don't want to start at a price they won't make money. Neo Geo, TurboGrafx 16, M2's device, 3DO, all of these companies showed that existing at a top-tier price between basically your PC price and your low-end console device does not result in sales that are enough to drive game sales. That's the most important thing. It's not just the console. You can sell as many, you can be number 1 in console sales, by the way, and still not be attractive to game developers. It happened with PlayStation. Xbox 360, weirdly enough, was, I think, 3.6 attach rate, meaning for every single Xbox 360, 3.6 games were sold with it, which is phenomenal. I think it was 3.6, 3.2. So if you don't have people buying games for your console, it doesn't matter. There's no, who gives a shit? I mean, you might give a shit on a random forum, but for the companies who are making games, VR is the same way. We saw it with VR multiple times. Oh, this device is selling a bunch, but nobody's buying games on this device. So it is not attractive for me to release a game on said device.
And that's where competition comes in, right? Yeah. Because they're not alone in a vacuum. We're not saying, correct, well, this is now the new price of PlayStation, therefore I'm okay with that. Because the real picture is, okay, that's the new price for PlayStation. That means I'm going to maybe Xbox or, whatever it may be. Because right now, the reality is you can buy a Series X for about £450 here in the UK.
Yeah.
And I forget what exactly is the price for PS5 now, the revised, but
I don't remember.
It's maybe close to twice that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a completely different order of magnitude. And sure, you could argue exclusives, right? Different value you would see in that. But it's not to the point where that would be justified, really, I don't think,
I mean, can we also point out that it's no strange coincidence that Sony's price changes happened right when Microsoft was basically indicating that they're sort of switching gears to their next device. And we're hearing all these rumors about, there's no real Xboxes in the service chain, in the sales chain and all this stuff. And Sony's like, well, we're the only ones here. So, I mean, It was only 3 days later. I'm just saying, it could have been completely, it could have been completely on the kismet of the world and the universe, but it was everybody that I was talking to the moment it hit. If you're the only competitor and now you got Nintendo who's raised their prices a bit, and really it's between you both, and you can make a little extra money to then also augment your next system, which they should subsidize, you would do that. you would do that. I mean, it's a weird, we live in a weird world, and I don't remember what happened when Xbox Original dropped. It's still, you know, it didn't sell the greatest, but it still sold enough that people were making games for it. I don't remember what happened when they dropped that, if we saw a price raise. Probably not by anybody else, but we also haven't seen RAM prices be higher to where maybe Sony was eating it. And they're like, whoa, we don't have to eat it right now because this competitor's gone and people want our shit. You know, they want our shit. Your expectations immediately change if everybody wants your shit. Dude, you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it on YouTuber ways. If I was doing sponsored shit and I had 1,000 subscribers and I was charging $100 for a video, if I had 1 million subscribers, am I still charging $100 per video? No. Also,
of course, it will be commensurate.
Yeah. And what if I had another competitor that was 1 million and they died? And I'm by myself. You can continue to release at that and do your $100 video, or you can be like, hey, I'm the only game in town. I'm the only one in town. I'm going to raise the price a little bit. Dude, this all business economics. I don't know why people don't, like, you see this all the time. You see people get caged up in it, but it's like, it all makes a ton of sense to me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it makes a ton of sense.
And it makes sense.
$999 don't make no fucking sense, though. Dude, I'm going to karate chop. I'm going to buy that thing and karate chop it on video. I'm just joking. I would never damage a device. But
it's
and then
crazy.
Also, somebody else just mentioned, you and I mentioned it last week, but I do want to point out, they're the only game in town. They're the only system in town with a pro. They're going to be the GTA device. And do you think that they're not prepping for that shit? Yeah. They're going to get that price to somewhere where they know they're looking at their console. And they're like, where's our console versus where's a graphics card that in 6 months will run GTA when it finally comes dicking into the PC version? Because you know that thing's going to run like dog shit on the PC.
Assuming 6 months, because it might be a longer period even where they can profit from.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be, because what'd you say? We were at 16 gigs. Yeah, I don't know,
I mean, the GTA 5 took, was it like a year to come out on PC?
You know,
and it had all kinds of issues.
That's what I thought. Man, that's what I thought. I'm not going to look it up. Anybody in chat can look this up because I don't know the time. I said it was a year, or I thought it was a year, and somebody told me last night that it was like 3 months. And I was all, dude, I don't know what we're talking. I don't know if they were.
That doesn't pass the.
It didn't pass the sniff test with me either, but I was just like, fuck, whatever. I'm not going to look it up. I was like, I think it was one more time somebody's just bullshitting a date. I don't feel like that's right, but hey, if I'm wrong, I will apologize to them in chat tonight. I feel like it was a year.
I'm seeing here September 2013 for the original console version, and then April 2015 for PC. 17-month gap.
Yeah, that makes sense. Back to like good stuff though. I do think people are going to be safe with their Xbox and their PlayStation for a good deal of time. Most developers I know don't want to go to a pro right now because they're also nervous about it, and they would love to get their games out on these systems. Microsoft's got a ton of games. All the big companies have a ton of games. You got a lot of small developers who also don't want to buy bigger debug kits, or they don't want to outfit all their PCs at a development house with a whole other system or more powerful system to port their games. They're all pretty happy. I think I see a lot of people say they're happy with the graphics right now. I would say, depending on the game, because there are times where I'm not, but I would love, I mean, not love, I think it's a pretty nice place to be right now. If the Pro was cheaper, it would be even better, but I do think you can, I think the consoles are still pretty nice. I mean, you know, there's a couple PlayStation games, and certainly Xbox, Microsoft Flight Sim is like, what the I think that's on PlayStation now too, but you're like, holy shit, this game looks amazing. And Forza going on both. It is a nice place to be if you don't have a ton of cash and you want to play most games well. We'll call it well.
Yeah, decently enough.
Decent, yeah. And I don't know, man, because like, dude, I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay $9.99 because I'm going to be unhappy unless they, dude. They would have, you know what they would have to do, Johnny? It'd have to be $9.99. They would have to cut PlayStation 5 support off completely the same day and release games that were only available on the 6, and it would have to take advantage of the 6. Meaning that is the only way I would consider it worth that. It would be like ray tracing, no ray tracing. You would have to do something on this system that was like,
like a binary difference.
But yeah. And it wouldn't just have to be frame rate, because frame rate is so variable for people. I've seen people be like, VRR at 45 is fine, blah, blah, blah. 30 is fine, 60 is fine, 90 is fine, 120 is the minimum. Yeah, people are all over they're all over the map for that kind of stuff because every human's different. So I think currently what we have, if you could get them at 60, that'd be great. I think that's probably I'll play a game at 30, but it feels 30.
Every game is different too. Like
Very
some games
so.
are 30.
Yeah.
I played Ghost of Tsushima, the first one, at 30, I believe, in the PS4. And
Pretty
had
sure
a great experience with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once you get,
you know like Red Dead 2. I think that was 30. I'm sure that was 30.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, we just have all kinds of weird situations when it comes to like, because it doesn't, for example, what's fast enough in a car, just different people's ideas. Somebody will be like, well, my car has to go 150. And you're like, seriously? Because there's no place other than the Autobahn that has 150 as a speed limit. So why not that you don't need it? I'm just saying there's sort of your baseline comfort of whatever, and then above that is sort of magic. I wish more games on the consoles would just say, I wish more games on the consoles would say, here's a 60 FPS mode no matter what. What I mean by no matter what is, it may look raw as shit just because of whatever reason.
But it is 60.
It is 60. And that's why frame boost from the Xbox was actually pretty goddamn ingenious. The way they did it, super smart. Tech guys at Xbox don't get some of the credit that they deserve for like that kind of smart improvement for older games that were locked. There's some games that were locked and they were able to get extra frames. I don't want a game to look like shit, but I'm trying to think like a Ninja Gaiden at 30. That could be pretty rough. Fighting game.
Yeah.
2D fighting game at 30.
Sure.
That's going to be.
Depends a lot on the game.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty rough. And the genre, I guess, in a way. Because like a 2D
I think
fighting
at the end of the day, it's still
tough.
A developer question.
Yeah.
How do they want to present the game?
Absolutely.
And if the GTA team thinks that, listen, it's a good hit to take playing in 30 FPS to present everything we want to present in the world, then honestly, I trust them. I don't necessarily need a ton of modes if they think that is by far like the best way to play it. Now, if they think we can swing like a performance mode that pushes it to 45, 60, then I want those options. But a lot of the time, if I don't see an option, I'm assuming the dev team just thought there was one unequivocal best way to experience the game in the console.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's in their interest, right? To present the game in the best way possible.
Or at least the way that fits their strengths and the engine's strengths and what game they were trying to deliver. 18 months, yeah. GTA 5 360 was September 2013. Man, so long ago. Purple Santa.
The fact that it came out on the 360
for doing that. GTA 6 will definitely be 30 FPS on base PS5, right? Oh, probably. Ranger says, I can't be bothered with the pro consoles. Can we just write that? Fuck, I wish we could write them off. Pro consoles, man. I fucking hate pro consoles. I hate them. I hate them with such a fiery passion. They extend development. Half of the time, they don't even do anywhere near what they should. Because you're not just, well, unless you buy them new, which without having purchased the original system, which many don't. You're basically, you've just got a system sitting there. You could sell it, you could resell it, maybe. Now at least the resale market's probably pretty good for PlayStations. My guess is maybe because that changed, so you could make some money out of there. But yeah, I would, if there's anything I wish I could kill forever, it would be cosmetic consoles, slim consoles, unless there's an issue with your heart. Anything that basically is them griefing on the gambling style of, oh my God, I need the next shiny thing, and only to find out it's either not a new shiny thing and it's the same thing in a plastic case, or it's these shit-ass terrible improvements. I mean, a PlayStation Pro is legitimately a terrible improvement. Like, that's the first time I've ever looked at something and been like, and it could be a combination of the power and the system and the game tools and the developers, but what a shitty Pro. Like, dog shit. And I think
because
pros are
of
hard,
the money difference?
No, because, money difference also, but just shit hardware. I mean, it's like, it doesn't involve a good hardware jump. It truly, and it wasn't going to ever be possible. That's why the moment you started hearing about it, you started, especially people in tech, were like, dude, you got like PSSR or whatever, but it's like, holy shit, what a piece of shit jump in hardware. It's just not a good deal for anybody. It's unless you get rid of the original and you're like, okay, now everybody this is the only one you can buy or whatever. But you don't want to do that.
Because the main thing is that for some games, you would be able to like go to quality mode, but still get a slightly higher FPS, right? That's kind of the main selling.
But you also require more time from developers that I swear to you, most developers would probably be able to get that going on the prior one. Would it look as good? No, because it is slightly better, but you would be able to not grift your fucking consumer to double down. I mean, dude, I don't buy another fucking Genesis. I've already got a fucking Hyundai Genesis. Why would I buy another one and just have it sitting there and I can't play both of them at the same time or can't drive both of them at the same time? Dude, it's a grift game. Pros have always been a grift game. It's the same way with the stupid ass Spider-Man, plastic pieces on the front. Go buy a plastic Spider-Man from Fred Meyer for $15.99, chop him off at the dick and glue him to the top of your PlayStation. Don't spend $299. You're getting ripped off. By the way, weirdly enough, people have tested thermals with a lot of the customized ones, and they're worse because they wrap that fucking device in a bunch of plastic, vinyls, all kinds of shit, and the device, that means the ambient temperature, nothing's getting out, and you have that issue. Dude, they're terrible. They're fucking horrendous. Do you know what I would like to see for a Pro? Fix your fucking heating. They've got bullshit issues all over. Same with Microsoft. I wouldn't want to see Microsoft do a Pro. I think Pros are one of the they're disgusting. Like, you can see how disgusting they are. They are sold to, I'm not even going to say it, but.
Because you're appealing to the FOMO. I mean, of course, some people will buy it as their first
primary
console.
Is
fine.
Yep.
But a lot of people, right, you're appealing to their FOMO, are like, oh, your buddy's got the Pro. You don't want to be like playing, FIFA. Do
you know what I'd rather have?
At a lower.
PlayStation should have made a system where, for example, upgrading the SSD didn't even cause you to unscrew something. It's like a plug on the side. Fix your liquid cooling that was dog shit day one. Fix all of your dog shit stuff. Same with Microsoft if they have this issue. Same with Nintendo. Nintendo, supposedly they've got a better battery version, coming out. And you're looking at these things. That's not going to be a Pro, obviously. But the Pros, they're there to take care. They're there to sell to the lowest common. I'm not going to say it. It's really, I'm not going to blame the consumer. But you look at them.
It's appealing to that.
They know what they're doing. And they know who they're selling to. And the lies that we get from these developer or these companies where they're like 2 times the this, 2 times the that. How many fucking times do we need to see that 2 times equals 0.7?
Yeah.
Their math is fucked up. Console math has always been
fucked up. You see these presentations
up.
Where they have, a certain metric that they are using, and you think that translates into your experience playing the game, but
and especially if it's the same chipset, you look at it and you're like, yeah, I guess it's possible if you broke quantum theory. If you were able to break all quantum theory and break all science, what you're saying is true, but it's not going to be, and never is. All the pros have been like that. And by the way, it's not me like hating on cosmetics and stuff, because people may like those. They may want to specialized whatever. But dude, I mean, it does feel weird when you see somebody bitch about a cosmetic and then go and buy, you know, your Xbox that looks like Gears of War with some fucking plastic gears super glued onto it. Did you see the Gears of War? Like, I think it was a Gears of War, maybe it was a Halo. One of the Xboxes, just fucking trash, man. Just embarrassing as shit that a company put that out. And listen, I like their games.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that is a good a good device.
It's on everything. It's not just a console. You have the controllers, you know, where every time you got like a special edition that has a slightly different color or decal based on the game. You know, Spider-Man, now you have the 007 controller.
Yeah. It's unfortunate too, because they know that they can sell them. I think maybe we won't see this with the, you know, depending on the price, maybe we won't see a PS6, you know, Pro ripoff version or an Xbox Series XXL Plus version. And they'll just actually do what they should do, which is make the original device good, figure it out, deliver at a certain level, and then sort of worry about it there. But remember, pros are distinctly based on the cell phone style. That's what it's based on. They know people will pay $500 for a cell phone, so of course they'll pay $500 for a slightly better console. And they've overpromised pretty often on not only the base consoles, and they've still got good stuff, by the way. I'm just saying the numbers are almost always askew. But we see that with NVIDIA and AMD and Intel, too. You know, where they'll be, you know, how many times have we seen a card from one of these guys and they're like 2,900% more, you know, frames. And then you look at the small asterisk and it's like at 4P. And you're like, oh, 4K? No, 4P. Yeah, it's just like, dude, you guys so full of shit. We get cards that don't have dual display port. They've still got HDMI with all of its issues. You're just sitting here all the time going like, what the fuck, man? Like,
yep.
If you want longevity from your system, it's going to end up with longevity from your consumer and vice versa. And they almost cause issues at times. What were you going to say?
Well, yeah, like the difference now is becoming very small, even when you do get a more powerful system, because the baseline is already a lot higher. So like just the normal PS5, games look pretty good on it.
Yeah.
Now, does it look better on the Pro? Yeah, you will notice a bit, but now the differential is getting so small that it's hard for you to justify a big, a big difference in cash. It's similar as well to graphics cards, where to go from your model to the next one, it's a lot of money. And oftentimes, if you were to try to justify it, I mean, you do because it's your hobby, right? But is it worth me spending what I spent on the 5080 instead of like a 5070, for example? I mean, I can justify it because I like graphics, but it is a hard sell because the baseline is so much higher now, even for the budget gear, whether it's console or PC.
If you're ready for one of the most hilarious mind fucks ever, think about it this way. How many times have you had one of your friends, maybe even you, go and buy a device, maybe a PC, maybe a console, and play the exact same game a bunch on it? And you're like, you just spent $550 to continue playing Fortnite.
You're playing Minecraft.
You're playing Minecraft. Yeah. And by the way, unless your display changed, yes, you could be getting more FPS if the game even allows it, or if it's not locked or unlocked, or maybe your settings are higher. But if your settings were already maxed, then what are you doing? And it happens all the time. How many times have you guys seen a person buy a TV, slightly brighter nits, let's say, and they buy a TV and they don't realize that that movie is already locked at a certain nits. So you're watching, dude, as somebody who's sold people TVs, and I got in a bunch of trouble for this, but I was like, I'm not fucking selling you this. I mean, I can if you really want it, but I got to tell you what you're buying, because you'll ask them. You'll be like, what are you going to watch on this device? What are you going to play? What are you going to watch? And they'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's got this new TV's got this. And be like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand the way you've got it connected or what you're displaying it on, or if you're watching on Netflix, that's not the same goddamn thing. You're quite literally caging yourself off. If you have a super fast motorbike, that's great. But if it's in a cage, it doesn't matter if it's faster than the other fucking motorbike that's in another goddamn cage. They're both fucking in the cage. And that happens with TVs all the time, dude. You would see it. It was nuts. You would be in there and you'd be trying to explain to somebody. You're like, dude, I'm trying to save you $1,200 right now. If it's an OS thing, I get it, because OSs can get slow. But I would have people buy a TV that had worse nits or a worse, maybe worse SD brightness or whatever, because they saw some new number that popped up. Or they'd buy a system. They'd be like, yeah, this has got 240 refresh rate. And I'd be like, actually, no, it doesn't. That's a fake refresh rate. It's got 120, but it's got the doubling and all that. Oh, okay. But it's also got this, right? And you're like, no, actually, it doesn't. Only one of those HDMIs allows for this very specific thing. And when you plug it in, guess what it's going to do? It's going to say PC, because you're plugging it into a PC, which is a whole other fucking series of adjustments you need to do versus, say, a movie signal, because it'll switch over to the PC signal. It'll go 422, or at worst yet, 420 for your color. Now, that's not the consumer's fault. It's my job to tell the consumer, if that's what I'm doing, is tell the consumer the truth and not try to rip them up. But it's sometimes, man, the person would be in there and I think they would get mad that they got there. And there's a name for it and I can't remember what it is. It's not sunk cost fallacy for sure. And it's not ego, but they would come in, and because they came in, they were dead fucking set on buying something, Johnny. Like, you could not. You'd be like, dude. Well,
sometimes people have made up their mind that they want to buy the expensive thing.
Yeah.
What they want from you actually is to justify that they have the right idea. That it makes sense for them to make that purchase because they just want that validated. They've already made up their mind. They want to buy that, in a way. So they just want to be validated in it.
I have no clue how you'd manage to play on console if you have a high-end PC. I'm sitting here with a 4090, and I would say 90% of my gaming right now is on an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Is it?
Yeah, easy.
That much, huh?
Maybe 80 right now. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's thousands. First of all, HDR in Windows is bonkers shit. And if you have an HDI device and you try to plug it into Windows, good luck, because either it's mapped wrong or it's just going to fuck up all your dual screens and stuff. Like, that shit is nuts. Second of all, if I can say do something, if my PC's doing something, or if the 4090, there's a driver issue for a new game, but on my Xbox or PlayStation there isn't, I would gladly play on a system or a device with a lower whatever and be able to play the goddamn game versus get some new game and have issues with drivers or whatever. I mean, because it happens all the time. I mean, look at the driver reports for NVIDIA. 600% increase in driver reports in the last year. In driver issues. Yeah. Wow. AMD's always been high. NVIDIA's are ridiculous. And you can just do report. You can like literally go to Google and be like, check these and count them and be like, okay, this is how many reports are coming in. We're, people plugging in like a dual monitor system and suddenly one monitor won't work. You have all these other weird issues. By the way, I love my 4090. Love it. I love my PC. But I've never had that issue, because if I did, that would mean I could never play on the Switch. So if I had, like, let's say I had a powerful PC, if I was magically to be like, because I have the powerful PC, every single device I couldn't use for games. That means 4 other PCs couldn't be used for games because they don't have the 4090. That means my Switch 2 couldn't be used. It means the G Deck couldn't be used. It means I would have to uninstall GeForce because it wouldn't be the 4090. Like, think of how much you'd be shutting off if you were just like, well, I have this device. Like I can't.
It's
play
also
on
the
something
types
else.
of games you play in some of these other devices will be different. So there's a whole host of games you might play on Switch or Steam
Definitely on
Deck,
Switch.
That are just different, that you don't need that fidelity. Also playing on TV is way different because oftentimes you have the upscaling.
True.
You're in a different position altogether. So maybe you don't care as much about sharpness.
Somebody was mentioning the bad PC ports, and I will say, I think the PC port, I think we have a tendency to give it a little bit of a, we're pretty hard on PC ports, and we should be, but I also think that's, I think that they happen. I think it's a little overblown sometimes, but I think where PC ports, I noticed the biggest explosion of complaints were because, for example, Sony, who bought a PC port company, luckily got their shit fixed for the majority, but they had a lot of issues. And you're like, listen, this is your one chance. You know, you don't show up to the prom after taking a bunch of fucking Zoloft and try to break dance. And that's what they were doing. Each time they would show up, they would just fuck up their port. And you'd be like, how did you do that? It's your only job. Your only job is to deliver a Sony port a year and a half later, and you fucked it up. Like, how did we get here when that's your only fucking job? And luckily, they did exactly what they should have done. They bought a company that was for ports, and they got that working. We do get some bad PC ports, but I don't think there's too many similarities between the consoles and the PCs for it to be like it was. It was really bad. It still has the tendency to be bad, but man, it was really bad. Like Xbox 360 days, it was bad. I think Xbox original and PlayStation 4, but I think it's got better.
It has.
Right? Like, I think in general,
and also,
it's got better.
There's two things there. One is a lot of the bad ones are not from Sony as well, so I don't think it's fair to only...
Not anymore.
Yeah, because you have Square Enix has fumbled quite a few.
Oh, dude,
for example,
Square Enix is...
You know, Final Fantasy VII Remake was really rough. I think it still is, actually. Sure. Doesn't have a bunch of basic options.
Sure.
Stuff like that is really bad. I know Nier Automata was really bad. And eventually some got fixed. Yeah. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, I don't care about fair, but I will point out that I don't think anybody was blaming Sony. I'm thinking that Sony's focus was that. It was the first time of delivering their premier games on PC, and they fucked it. I mean, they just showed up for a different game. Like, there were multiple times we were like, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, stop, because you guys suck. And they fixed it in a short amount of time. They went back and did what they were supposed to do, and but
still, the first impressions there.
First impressions were terrible, man, for some of them, and then over time. But remember, I think Days Gone is one of the first bad impression. I think Days Gone, I think I even told the guys this in the chat, where I was like, this might be an indicator of the future, because it's rare you'll see a AAA game launch in one of the worst states known to man, like to where this game is trash. Like, the release of this game is one of the worst releases I've ever seen, not only from Sony, but ever, for its release pattern, how it released, how buggy it was. And I think we've sort of seen that. Could have been the difficulty of translating, but I think we have seen, like, the fall of these guys. Like, Sony used to be really high up for a lot of people, and I think maybe for the better, we've dropped them down a bit and been like, yeah, they're a company too. Like we used to say. I think
also we remember the bad shit a lot more.
For sure.
Because, for example,
if that's not the pattern, you're for sure going to remember. Right? Like, that's not the typical pattern.
But, like, Death Stranding 2 was a great port. It's sitting, like, overwhelmingly positive on Steam. Everything I've heard has been, like, really positive.
But isn't Death Stranding 2 only, like, a week or two old? So we can't remember it. We're in it right now.
Okay, we're in it.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard anybody.
No, neither have I. Yeah, neither have I.
Because I just don't hear the positive much when it comes to ports. I tend to only hear, like, the bad ones. You know what I mean? Because it's not news when a good PC port comes out. The news is like, oh, they fumbled this port.
Well, I mean, and you're not playing the game if it's bad. If it's good, they're probably just online playing the game, so they're not
playing the game.
Yeah, they're not. Like, it's hard to. Can you imagine going to Reddit and being like, "Excuse me, Reddit," typically completely caustic Reddit, Could you please stand by? I would like to write a dissertation on why Death Stranding 2's port is so excellent.
It's great.
And you know what your first comment's going to be? They should be. They charged money, which is my belief. So I think you're right. It definitely gets more because people aren't playing the game. They're experiencing problems with it. And the good doesn't get it because it's expected to be good.
It's your job.
It's your job.
It reminds me in Mad Men, you know, the show?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen
John Hamm.
Yeah, with John Hamm, so he has this subordinate, this girl. She has like some really good ideas for ads, right?
Oh, okay.
And forgot her name. But so she gets angry because she's not getting credit and then for her ideas. And then he says, well, it's your fucking job.
Yeah.
You give me good ideas.
Yeah.
You know? So I kind of get that argument as well from your standpoint, because you're saying, yeah, it's literally your job. You know, you're in the market selling this game. And the value proposition is that it's going to be a good PC port for this Sony game or, you know, this whatever game.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then it's a bad product. But if it is, that just means you're kind of hitting the mark for what you're selling. It's like you don't need to tip the delivery person because it's their job to deliver the damn thing to your house.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I've always found that weird, and we see it a lot of times, and the world's changed, but it does seem weird sometimes where if somebody says it's always nice to hear a good job on something, so you're working at a company, you do a good job, it's nice to hear a good job. It's nice to get a super chat on a review. I got one recently, and I was like, I forgot those were even possible, that you could get a super chat on a review. I was like, okay, that's cool. But fuck me if I decided that I was going to expect those. Like, that would be ridiculous and for the most part, it's like give and take, and free market takes care of the rest. And so the idea that it goes with the charity thing we've talked about, where you'll hear somebody say, well, you know what? I'm going to support this company anyway by buying the game. And I'm like, what are you doing? What in what? I don't just drive by the gas station and say, in the past, you've delivered good gas. Here's $5, but I'm still not buying any gas right now. That's fucking ridiculous. But in games, you see that all the time. People be, I'm going to support this company. Game shit. I'm going to buy the game anyway and hold it in my library. And you're like, but that's not, what are you doing? Like, it doesn't, and especially now with things costing so much, you know, not just RAM and stuff, but overall cost is going up for pretty much everything.
Cost of living.
It feels to me like we should be more worried about that. And yet I think empathy, which is super vital for people, you should have it for people. I think empathy is it's overproduced and it's overpronounced by people. Yeah, I'm going to help these guys out. Good for you. I don't fucking need to know. But I think many times when I see people do that, they sort of want you to know. They're like, look at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I hear that too.
Yeah. Because if you remove the good for you, it's a person giving money for nothing that they won't experience that could be bad. That's actually all negative. But if they say, look at what I did, then it's like, well, it's
almost virtue signaling.
Yeah, in a way. And with games, $60 is a lot of money. I think a person should expect the game to work at $60. I mean, it's very weird to me to be, you know,
absolutely.
Really anything, but you give more leeway to cheaper stuff.
It's different for an indie, because I think the argument survives a little bit better there. If you say, like, listen, I like what these guys tried. I know it's like not a great game, maybe, but they had a crack. I like what they attempted, and I want to support the studio by getting the game. I think at $10, that's kind of a more viable argument, because you would say, you know, I want them to keep making games. I like the idea of what they made. But at $60, that just doesn't survive any.
Who's telling the truth about indie? We already saw. Like, how do we fucking know? How do we know?
That's look
at what just happened with that game you and I love, the cyberpunk shooter game, the Ascent. You had a bunch of fucking people telling everybody that it was a small indie company, and the company themselves had to come out and be like, no, we're not. We have, and do you know why? Kudos to them. They wanted to make sure they didn't get lambasted by the same people giving them kudos, turn around and writing a fucking expose about them and being like, they lied. No, they didn't lie. They didn't even start the goddamn thing. Like, it was some piece of shit who was out there going like, well, it's an indie. We don't even know who indies are. Look at what happened with, I'm not going to mention that. I'll just say a fighting.
People are going to get angry if we mention that
magical game that's a AA that came out about 3 years ago. That person got, what was it, 20 to 50 million from a best friend to complete that game. Is that an indie? No, it's not.
Yeah, that's not
Same thing happened with the Game Awards. You have a person on the Game Awards being like, yeah, this indie, and the developer has to be like, whoa, what the fuck are you talking about? We're not an indie developer. So I'm not saying you don't want to do that, but I'm saying that the truth of what does indie mean? Does it mean one? Because indie, independent, can mean by themselves. In gaming, it doesn't always mean that. In the number, it means, you don't have an outside production, an outside publishing. But now we're starting to see a bunch of these people putting together publishing groups that are like under their own LLC. And so you're like, okay, so, and if we say indie are people who can't get loans, that's really unfortunate because many mid-tier and below get loans from banks. They get money outside, and that money does have restrictions. It has milestones where they have to show somebody, hey, this investor gave us this much. We have to give them a milestone. We have to. So it's weird, dude. Because I get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from. Technically, I'm independent. So, like, I'd be the one fighting if there was anybody fighting for it. But I would rather fight for the truth of the word and what it even means, because no one knows. In gaming, how many fucking times, Johnny, has somebody said AA? And everybody in the room is like, what in the fuck does AA mean? What does it mean? Write it down for me.
The range right now of AA would be like between Hellblade.
So wide. It would be, and Hellblade is Microsoft.
Right.
So how the, dude, it's, and B used to, remember when, I think I've told you, when you're a kid, you'd watch a B movie, and we all sort of knew what B movie was. It wasn't a shit movie, but it could be shit, but your thought process was, it was a movie that went out on a limited budget that basically tried to do something sort of good, and it might be campy. Sorry, that means nothing. Like, it's so soft as a descriptor now. That's why the descriptors they're so difficult to even translate, because the same thing happens to me. Somebody will say, hey, on your monthly video, can you cover an indie game? And I'll be like, yeah, if you can prove to me that it's a personal loan in his basement with absolutely zero extra dollars, I might look at that. Otherwise, I might choose it randomly, but I'm not going to choose it because somebody is saying indie. And I love indie games, but half of the games I say I love probably aren't indie. And I'll call them an indie game. I mean, but it's a terrible.
Even in the way I said it, I was kind of saying that a $10 game is an indie as an assumption.
So you mean the expectation?
That doesn't even have to be the case anymore, because you can have a mismatch where a bigger studio now releases, a smaller title.
Can I point out something that's even worse? If an indie $10, like if we say, an indie sort of $10, then is a free game not indie? Is free to play not indie? Because that's $0.
Often not, right? Because usually that's like a big.
Exactly. It's a big. So it's like, can you imagine trying to explain? Let's say it was required for you to explain this. Can you imagine if you and I were going in to get a loan on our game, and I'm like, okay, Johnny, fly over here, or I'll fly over there. We go in to get a loan, and they want any kind of actual definitive explanation that really required, like, let's say, not law, but, like a hard, fast line, it would be flatly impossible. It's
so it's almost difficult. Like the definition of porn of you know it when you see it.
Yeah. Except now big companies are faking indie.
You don't actually.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, how many times Jet Set Radio, great example. It's like, are they indie? Are they not? Well, obviously not. It was Bethesda, right? And then to Microsoft. But it looks sort of like that maybe it didn't cost them as much as it might cost to do a Call of Duty.
So it kind of looks like porn, but the girls never come out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's a lot of ways you could have said that, but I appreciate you saying it that way because it wasn't as dirty. Yeah, man, it's cool stuff. Like, and again, I like almost everybody I know is indie. Well, I mean, I know some AAA devs, but it's like for the most part, almost everybody I know is.
It's
indie.
Getting very.
Yeah, it's messy.
Yeah, very messy. Blurry now.
And it's and once you start getting into the psychological stuff, it starts to feel a little gross. And then you have a big company go and support us. And you're like, dude, seriously? You have the gross national product of like 15 nations each 3 months. Why?
Might as well support the United States, bro.
We need some whatever, some airplanes or whatever. Could you give us some cash? I mean, holy shit. What are we at for time? I haven't looked.
We are at 3 hours and
15, 7. Okay.
Or some.
We're good. We're good. We can wrap it up though. What do we have any other questions? That was a diatribe, but it was fun. It's always fun to try to figure that shit out.
Yeah. No, we had we actually didn't answer one thing though.
Let's do it.
His question about the John Wick game, as in what style of game would you want it to be? As in more of like a Sifu style with guns maybe? Or more of like a Max Payne 3 style?
I think that people love the gun stuff in John Wick, but I think that for the rest of it, for the most part, the most popular part is the more realistic martial arts. I would rather have it be Sifu with guns than rather than Max Payne 3.
Max Payne.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I think that's such a big part too of John Wick.
It is.
It's the close combat, the using like whatever's at hand.
Dude, he uses the gun sling for martial arts. Yeah. So it's like, the guns do a thing, but he always, somebody runs out of bullets inevitably. And then there's a horse involved. Slap the ass of the horse, watch it kick a guy. Like that kind of stuff in a Sifu environment would be amazing. Where if it was just more of a shooter, you'd be like, well, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen
Sifu is
many
a good
Sifus.
example where they had a lot of depth to all the movement and stuff you could do. Because if it turns out to be like Samson, kind of, where it's a bit shallow, you have your really gamified moves.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem for that game because, again, such a big part of the identity of John Wick is the sheer arsenal of moves, right? And different stuff you could do. If it turns out to be a really gamified, limited set of moves, that's just sort of disappointing.
I feel like with it's the game with John Woo, 360 doves. You could leap over counters. So it was a 360 game that had a lot of martial arts, a lot like Sleeping Dogs, but it was way prior. Drawing distance, no, it's not that. But anyway, that one had sort of the feel that I'm thinking for John Wick. I just think overall with John Wick, they already throw a billion bad guys at you. In the movie, sorry, not at you, but at Keanu in the movies. And everywhere he goes, suddenly some stranglehold, thank you. Somehow every single room inside of John Wick has guys with guns that just spawn out of closets like a Doom game. All the time, right? Everybody's well-trained in that universe. So that part's taken care of. Yeah. I just think John Wick fits perfect with like the Sifu, because Sifu was really technical. You could still do the gun stuff. It would require a little bit, but you could still do it. But most of the stuff with like the guns, he's killing sort of the low-level bad guys super fast anyway. They have that 4-minute with Holly Berry, which was one of the best scenes I've ever seen. I think it was John Wick 2 or 3 when they're in the desert and her dogs are biting people's nutsacks. I just don't think that would look as good or play as well in a Max Payne, but in a Sifu, man, dude, some of the stuff you could pull off would be, it would be so fun. I think John Wick sells itself as long as you don't fuck it up. I mean, John Wick's already had a isometric style action game, if I remember. It's already, yeah. Dude, I mean, John Wick is weirdly popular, but also it might as well just be called Keanu Reeves, because I do think it's not going to, sorry, but like John Wick, Indiana Jones was close. It took a TV show, and then I think it was one TV show without him, and then it showing him as a kid multiple times for me to sort of buy off on like another actor may play him, including the video game, and that's just a copy of his voice anyway. But with John Wick, man, can you imagine if like they're like Leonardo DiCaprio is John Wick in this video game? You'd be like, fuck, that he is. You know, it's I sort of think the game should have him, and they said he was probably in it, so it'll be interesting to see if like he lends his voice or not. But dude, there's rarely a guy.
It's a rough one. If it's like bootleg.
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
stuff to do a bootleg
John
Keanu, man.
Where he's like, whoa, you know, oh no, it's Carrick. It's Carrick. It's Keanu Reeves. What the fuck? Can you imagine? I don't tell you.
That's great.
And I'm like, I'm like, what's your name? I'm John Wick. I can't even fake it. I don't even know what it sounds like. But Keanu's Keanu. Like, I feel like he seems to like game. I mean, he seems to like games. I don't know if that's true. I would hope you could get him to work for like a carrot, because I feel like that guy's so nice. You'd be like, John, we're an indie company.
Yeah. We need you, John.
We need your super chat, but we don't want to take your money, so come in and act in our game. Love the Game says, what are some of your favorite small budget action movies? I love Kill, an Indian action movie which rocks. P.S. Watch Paradise.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Paradise is so
Tremors good. With Kevin Bacon back in the day was the shit.
Tremors was great. Tremors.
It's a
Critters.
Good
Critters.
movie.
Did you ever see Critters?
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Critters it's just like M&Ms with teeth running around fucking biting people and killing them. Just little fat round thingies. Like, I love those. Gremlins was fun.
Gremlins, yeah.
But if you're talking about like action movies where it's like not sort of horror based, Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman was good because I got to meet him. He's a Kempo and one of the major guys for Kempo. That was good. Perfect Weapon was good. Big Showdown in Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee before he passed away was excellent. Action movies. No. The one, Martin Lawrence is the cop. He's not a cop. He's a criminal, pretends to be a cop. Dude, Blue Streak. Have you ever seen Blue Streak?
No.
I'm telling you. It sounds so dumb. It's basically an action movie where he is a criminal who pretends to be a police officer because he accidentally put his ill-gotten gains in a building that was being built up, and he thought it was just a construction unit, and it turns out to be a police station that he put his stuff in, so he has to sneak in. I'm telling you, it's so good. It's so good, man. You should watch it. Even what's his name? Chappelle's in there for a bit part and stuff that. It's good.
Yeah, nice.
Tremors shot in my backyard. Tremors. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Damn.
Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, obviously. That movie's like one of the best movies of all time. A lot of John Carpenter movies are amazing. Do we got anything else? What are you streaming this weekend?
I think that's about it. Some more Crimson Desert and some like community games in League as well with the viewers.
Excellent. And I will be doing reviews. I posted to the Discord all the games that I'll be covering, previews and reviews. You should see some stuff from me next week, week after. I think it's a pretty busy couple. It's pretty busy.
Yeah.
It's actually really busy. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Oh, who here has seen Project Hail Mary? Did you see Project Hail Mary?
Not yet. I do want to see it.
Yeah. I'll watch it. I think it'll be streaming soon if it's not already. Dude, so
I'll
Crime 101. I think I told you guys about Crime 101. And it was already streaming. Like I came home, I told you guys, and then a week later I went online
and
it was like
streaming.
Right there. Yeah, I was like, damn, I don't know if I feel ripped off or part of a special unit that went early. I can't tell.
Are you gonna watch the Boys new season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Paradise and The Pit are the two that like I make sure to watch.
Paradise ended really well.
Little angry I normally don't care to wait, but Pit in particular is bothering me a little bit. I sort of want to see. Yeah, Pit is winding towards something, and in the last episode, you're like, it's what I sort of figured out, and it's massive beyond all belief. And you're like, okay, here we go, and it's a little slower. You're waiting a little.
I might
longer.
have to watch that just to be a part of the conversation there.
Oh, dude, the Pit is up. I mean, there's everybody that you see. It is crazy. I didn't expect like random people in the Discord who don't like any shows I like Paradise. Most people in Paradise they like, but I'll mention something. They'll be like, yeah, it's not for me. Pit, I will randomly say it, and you'll just see 50 people in chat, people that I would never have assumed would have seen it, are like, that show is the fucking greatest show I've ever seen. And you're like, wait, what? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so good. Yeah, you should watch it. Watch, there's the gore, if that's what bothered you. It definitely shows you up close a little bit, but it doesn't it's not like 3 hours of them, snipping bellies open. It's just, they show the moment.
And I'll know pretty quickly if it's, beyond what I'm okay with. Because I'll just
I think there was only like 4 things in all the first season that I was like, wow, and maybe one where I was like, oh, but
damn,
it's pretty fast. It's like, I remember going, oh, and then it never showed it again. So pretty easy to get by. Anyway, that'll be it for us. I hope you guys all have an excellent week. If you get a chance, check out the Patreon, the Discord. So you guys know I'm not going to bullshit you. If that's worth anything, feel free to jump in. If you want to continue to be bullshitted, don't. I don't know. That's not the right way to sell it. But there you go. Sold it to you anyway that way. Peace out, everybody. Hope you don't die. Stay safe.
See you next time.
See you next time. We need like a real outro. We need to be like, oh, I forgot to shut it off. Hang on. Because I don't want to say anything wrong. Hang on.
Oh, man.